Chapter 60-31. After casually waving goodbye to Li Zhaoyi, Lin Yi slipped out of the door. After he left, Li Zhaoyi's calm face suddenly changed into a complicated expression. He stomped his feet hard, then closed the door and put up a restriction. When Lin Yi left the pill hall, the first place that came to his mind was Okuda-ba. After the auction ended, he didn't know if Okuda-ba had left. Normally, after the official auction, there would be some spontaneous trade fairs just like before. However, the situation this time was special. Perhaps not many people would be in the mood to stay. After extending his divine sense, Lin Yi quickly discovered the huge body of the ancient battleship. As expected, it hadn't left the extreme North Island. With Okuda-ba's knowledge, he might be able to solve Lin Yi's problem. Perhaps he might be able to directly bring him to the transit station. Brother Lin, I haven't seen you for the past 2 days. I heard that you were refining elixirs in seclusion? Okuda-ba was supervising the repair of the ancient battleship on the deck. When he saw Lin Yi coming over, he immediately greeted him enthusiastically. Yes, I worked together with Li Zhaoyi to refine the recovery elixir. I finally succeeded in curing Uncle Li. Lin Yi greeted Okuda with a smile. After the beast wave, the two of them had grown closer. Okuda bro, there's something I'd like to ask you. Is this a good time? Okuda bro? What are you saying? This is your home. You can come and find me anytime, anywhere. Why is it inconvenient? Okuda-ba pretended to be unhappy. He then laughed and pulled Lin Yi's arm. Come, my brother Lin. Let's go have a drink and have a good chat. Okay. Oh yes, how's the situation of this battleship? Lin Yi agreed. Seeing the busy crew, he asked casually. Not bad. The repairs and maintenance can almost be completed by today. Although there were some damages in this battle, it's not a big problem. After all, this is an ancient battleship. Okuda-ba waved his hand casually with a proud expression. For a man who was determined to dominate the sea, owning such a top-notch warship was the proudest thing. Hearing Okuda-ba's words, Lin Yi finally felt relieved. After all, many crazy decisions were made by Lin Yi in this battle. If he caused irreparable damage to the ancient battleship, he would feel sorry for Okuda-ba. Brother Lin, after we replenish our supplies today, we can sail back to Nakajima tomorrow. Are you coming with us? Okuda-ba seemed to be in a good mood as he chatted with Lin Yi while walking. Although it was a bit thrilling this time, his fleet did not suffer any damage, and he also obtained the friendship and generous gifts from the extreme North Island. Coupled with his own profits, he earned a lot. Especially after a private conversation with the old man Li Lin, he got a promise from him. As long as he didn't violate the Guardian Pact, he would do one thing for Okuda-ba. A promise from a super expert in the sea-splitting stage. Okuda-ba even felt that this was his biggest gain. According to the old man Li Lin, he once fought with the old monster of the Okuda family and he even won. Although this made Okuda-ba feel a little embarrassed, it didn't matter. I still have urgent matters to deal with, so I will leave first. I won't go back with you. Let's meet again in the North Island or Nakajima. Lin Yi couldn't wait to go back with the fleet slowly. He had to go back to the North Island to deal with some matters, and pay a visit to Shanghai Tianhua first. After that, he rushed back to Nakajima as soon as possible to check on Han Jingjing's situation. He didn't know whether the spirit concentrating branch was effective or not. Fortunately, the soul nurturing wood gave him some confidence. This was indeed a good thing with a well-deserved reputation. After Lin Yi sent it into the space of the jade pendant, the ghost was overjoyed and immediately attached its spirit to the soul nurturing wood. The comfortable feeling of nourishing the spirit was simply indescribable. That's a pity. I wanted to have a good chat with you on the way back. Okuda-ba looked very regretful and opened the door to let Lin Yi in. After personally pouring a glass of spirit fruit wine and handing it to Lin Yi, Okuda-ba sat comfortably opposite Lin Yi and raised his glass. First, try this spirit fruit wine that I just bought. It's absolutely delicious. It's really good. Seems that I have to buy some too. Lin Yi took a sip and nodded in praise. If you like it, go to the warehouse of the warship and take whatever you want. Being polite to me, you'll make me angry. Don't forget that you're still the vice captain of this warship. Okuda-ba laughed and put down his glass. Alright, let's talk about why you're looking for me. Brother Okuda, I wonder if you've heard of this transit station? Lin Yi also put down his glass. His solemn expression showed that this matter was very important to him. I think I've heard of it. This place shouldn't be on Heavenly Island, right? Okuda-ba thought carefully and was a little uncertain. Lin Yi was immediately happy. Okuda-ba really knew something. Even if he wasn't very clear, as long as there was a clue, it was a good thing. Brother Okuda-ba, where did you hear about it? I heard it's in another plane. Do you have any impression of it? Lin Yi leaned forward subconsciously, telling Okuda the information he knew. What do you think? Lin Yi leaned forward subconsciously, telling Okuda everything he knew. If you put it like that, I do have an impression of it, but I don't seem to have much information. I've only heard of this place before, but I can't remember where I heard about it. Okuda-ba was a little annoyed. It was rare for Lin Yi to ask him something, but he couldn't help. Never mind then, I'll go ask someone else. Okuda bro, please help me keep an eye out for news in this area. Lin Yi was a little disappointed. He could only ask Okuda to help him gather some information. Brother Lin, don't worry. I'll definitely find a way to find out about this transit station. Maybe when I return to Middle Island I'll have news for you. Okuda-ba patted his chest. In his opinion, collecting information about a place shouldn't be too difficult. Since he had heard of it before, he should be able to find it now. Then I'll leave it to you, Brother Okuda. I still have to say goodbye to the others. Lin Yi finished his glass of wine and stood up to leave. Okuda-ba knew that he had something to do, so he didn't ask him to stay. After giving 2 barrels of spirit fruit wine to Lin Yi, he accompanied him off the ship. Chapter 60-32. Since Okuda-ba didn't know about the transfer station, Lin Yi could only go to the Lee family in the extreme north to ask about the situation. After all, it was a family with a deep heritage. Moreover, the extreme north island was also the most well-informed place. Perhaps they might have some information in this regard. However, before going to the extreme north island, Lin Yi planned to return to the 5 Elements Commerce's encampment and say hello to Kai Zhongyang, Wei Shinjin and the others. After that, he would fly directly back to the central island and ask them to go back with Okuda-ba. Unexpectedly, Kai Zhongyang and Wei Shinjin were not in the encampment. The people who stayed behind said that they had gone to participate in some kind of trade fair. Since they would return soon, they wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to make some trades. I'm in my room. If they come back, let me know. Lin Yi decided to wait for them here for a while. At the same time, he could also check on the flying saucer made by Han Jingjing and then upgrade it with the starry sky flowing flame gold. After returning to his room, Lin Yi took out the flying saucer from the space inside the jade pendant. Because he used the space technology, the flying saucer now looked like a model and looked very exquisite. I wonder what kind of improvement the starry sky flowing flame gold will bring. I'm looking forward to it. Lin Yi muttered to himself and took out the starry sky flowing flame gold. Lu Dechang was rarely generous and gave all the starry sky flowing flame gold to Lin Yi. Upgrading the flying saucer didn't require that much. After carefully cutting out about half of the starry sky flowing flame gold and putting away the rest, Lin Yi used his true chi to control this liquid-like metal and slowly wrapped it around the flying saucer. The most precious thing about this top-grade material was that it didn't require any additional refining. Moreover, there was no possibility of failure. It would never damage the upgraded item. Therefore, he could use it with ease. Unfortunately, the starry sky flowing flame gold could only be used once. If it could be used repeatedly, it would be heaven-defying. But if that was the case, no one would be stupid enough to auction such a good thing. It was probably the extra starry sky flowing flame gold from the auctioneer. Just like Lin Yi's spirit-tempering pill, it was a peerless treasure to others. But in Lin Yi's eyes, it was not much different from a great returning pill. Under Lin Yi's spiritual sense, the starry sky flowing flame gold evenly covered the outer surface of the flying saucer and slowly penetrated it. It slowly fused with the original metal. A faint flame appeared. Lin Yi was a little excited as he waited for the fusion to finish. However, after the time it took for an incense stick to burn, he suddenly realized that he had miscalculated. The fusion speed of the cosmic flowing flame gold and the flying saucer was just too slow. It couldn't be said that there was no progress, but it was better than nothing. Although one did not need to understand forging to use the starry sky flowing flame gold, a forging expert would naturally know more about the details. Lin Yi was still lacking in this aspect. Judging from this progress, it would take at least a few days for the flying saucer to completely fuse with the starry sky flowing flame gold. It seemed that his plan to use the flying saucer to fly directly back to the central island would have to be put on hold. because during the fusion process the flying saucer could not be used at all. Damn it, if I had known this earlier, I would have immediately started fusing with the flying saucer when I obtained the starry sky flowing flame gold. Now I can only borrow a flying spirit beast from the Lee family. Linny did not know whether to laugh or cry. He had wanted to upgrade the flying saucer so that he could go back faster. However, he did not expect the result to be like this. Since the fusion of the flying saucer and the starry sky flowing flame gold would not end so quickly, Linny no longer wasted time. He first put the flying saucer into his storage bag and let it slowly proceed. Not knowing when Kai Zhongyang and Wei Xinjin would return, Linny left a message for them and then went to find Li Zaixiang. Master Lin, the Island Master and Young Island Master are here. Do you need me to lead the way for you? Seeing Lin Yi coming over, the Li family's doorman greeted him warmly, his face full of respect. As a hero who had turned the tide and saved the extreme North Island, Lin Yi's reputation and status in the Li family was not to be trifled with. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was half the owner of this place. For example, right now he did not even need to report to the Li family. Instead, someone directly led the way. He could go and see whoever he wanted to see. No need. Where is Island Master Li? I have something to talk to him about. Lin Yi smiled and nodded. He was ready to meet Li Zaixiang and then go to Li Ziyu to say goodbye. Island Master is cultivating in the cultivation room. Master Lin can go directly. Hearing that Lin Yi did not need him to lead the way, this fellow felt a little disappointed. He was like a little fan who had missed a chance to get close to his idol. Lin Yi secretly laughed. He did not think much about it. After thanking him, he went to look for Li Zaixiang. It was not the first time he came to the Li family. Of course, he did not have to worry about getting lost. Lin Yi quickly arrived at Li Zaixiang's cultivation room and touched the restriction on the door. If Li Zaixiang was in closed-door cultivation, Lin Yi could not casually disturb him. However, he knew that Li Zaixiang had just taken the recovery pill. At most, he was recovering. Asking a few questions was definitely not a big deal. Nephew Lin, I am very happy that you can come. Quickly come in and sit. Li Zaixiang came out and saw Lin Yi. Although he was a little surprised, he was more happy. His enthusiasm was not much different from that of the doorman. Sorry for disturbing Uncle's cultivation, Lin Yi said politely. Then he went straight to the point. This time I came to find Uncle Li. I want to ask about a place. I don't know if you know about it. You child, don't be polite. This is your home. Why are you saying that you are disturbing me in your own home? If you have something to say, just say it. As long as I know, I will definitely tell you. Li Zaixiang invited Lin Yi in and personally made tea for him. Could be said that he was giving him enough face. It is a place called the transit station. It is said to be in another plane. Has Uncle Li heard of it? Lin Yi looked at Li Zaixiang with anticipation. Kudaba had vaguely heard about it. Maybe Li Zaixiang would know more? I know. To be exact, the transit station is a place that is connected to several other planes. However, I don't know how to get to this transit station. Why? Do you want to go to the transit station? Then I'm afraid I can't help you. Li Zaixiang was really direct. With a smile on his face, he hit Lin Yi's expectations. Uncle Li, do you know anyone who knows how to get to the transit station? Lin Yi shook his head with a bitter smile as he asked, unwilling to give up. Chapter 60:33. Thank you for your concern, Uncle Li. Then I will leave it to you. Lin Yi thanked him and felt that he shouldn't think about going to the transit station for the time being. Now his main goal was to improve his strength as soon as possible. Otherwise, when he could go to the transit station, he would only be a hindrance to them. Nephew Lin, you don't have to be so polite. It's just a small matter to inquire about the transit station. Can't be compared with helping us. Don't worry. I will inform you once I have news. Li Zaixiang laughed and patted Lin Yi's shoulder intimately. Then I will wait for Uncle Li's news with peace of mind. Lin Yi nodded with a smile and greeted Li Zaixiang with a fist salute. Uncle Li, my other purpose of coming here is to say goodbye to you. I would like to borrow a flying spirit beast. The auction in the extreme North Island is over. I have other things to do, so I have to go first. I won't be riding on Brother Okuda's warship. With the relationship between Lin Yi and the Li family, it was a piece of cake to borrow a flying spirit beast. As long as he wanted it, it didn't matter if he gave a few hundred of them. Are you in such a hurry? But in the current situation, It will be very dangerous to use a flying spirit beast to return to the North Island or the Middle Island. You have just made such a big feud with the sea beast. I think it's better for you to take the ancient worship back. Li Zixiang was slightly surprised. It wasn't that he was reluctant to part with the flying spirit beast, but he was really worried about Lin Yi. Brother Lin, are you going back? Why are you in such a hurry? I still want you to stay for a while so that I can take you around the extreme North Island. Before Lin Yi had time to speak, Li Ziyu walked in from the outside. He must have heard that Lin Yi was coming, so he came to meet him. Brat, you have no manners at all. Li Zixiang scolded with a smile, but obviously he wasn't really angry. Brother Lin is not an outsider. Why do you have to be so polite? Li Ziyu pursed his lips and turned to Lin Yi. Brother Lin, you came to my house but you didn't come to find me. Instead you came to find this old man. Could it be that you think that talking to this old man is more interesting than talking to me? Brother Li must be joking. I have something to ask Uncle Li. I was going to look for you later but I didn't expect you to come. Lin Yi smiled and shook his head. After spending so much time with the father and son, he had gotten used to the way they spoke. It was indeed quite interesting. Brother Lin, why are you in such a hurry to leave? Can't you stay for a little longer? Li Ziyu didn't continue with his nonsense, but he reluctantly asked Lin Yi to stay. Not to mention that Lin Yi had helped him a lot after coming to the extreme North Island. At least Li Ziyu really felt that he and Lin Yi were congenial. It was rare for him to meet such a friend and brother, so it was normal for him to be reluctant to let Lin Yi leave. Yes, nephew Lin, if it's not something urgent, you can stay for a little longer. Li Zixiang also tried to persuade Lin Yi to stay, but he knew in his heart that Lin Yi probably wouldn't agree. If it wasn't really urgent, why would Lin Yi borrow a flying spirit beast to fly back? Wouldn't it be better to be with Okuda Dam, comfortable and safe? I really can't this time. I have a very important thing to do. I have to rush back to the Central Island as soon as possible, and I also have to go to the North Island to deal with something. Anyway, there will be opportunities to come back in the future. Brother Li's arrangement can be put aside for the next time. Lin Yi really refused their invitation and once again mentioned the flying spirit beast. Of course, flying spirit beasts are not a problem. You can choose any of the flying spirit beasts on the extreme North Island. But I still have to say it's really dangerous to do this. It's best to set off with Okuda Dam's fleet. Li Zixiang stopped smiling and solemnly persuaded Lin Yi. Uncle Li, rest assured I can handle it. Even the sea beast tide couldn't stop me, other small troubles are nothing. Lin Yi had made up his mind. After saying a few more words of farewell, he went to choose a flying spirit beast with Li Ziyu. At this time, Languza, who followed Fire Phoenix to learn cultivation experience, also came over with Fire Phoenix. It seemed that he had gained a lot. Boss, I'm here. Languza ran over excitedly, then whispered to Lin Yi. Boss, that firebird is really powerful. It just gave me a few pointers and it made me feel enlightened. Now I feel that I can break through to the mountain opening stage soon. Not far away, Fire Phoenix's ears trembled twice, and blue veins seemed to faintly jump on her forehead. No rules, call me Senior Fire Phoenix. Lin Yi hurriedly scolded. No matter what Fire Phoenix's purpose was, after all, he had taught Languza something. For such a senior, the necessary respect must not be lacking. Languza shrank his head and quickly nodded, admitting his mistake. Senior Fire Phoenix, thank you this time. Languza is not sensible, he doesn't know how lucky he is. Lin Yi stepped forward and politely thanked her. In his heart he was thinking that if Fire Phoenix sent him back to Middle Island, it should be much faster, right? However, Lin Yi only dared to think about it. Asking a super expert of Earth opening stage to send him back, even if she would agree, he himself would be embarrassed. It's just a small matter, it's not a big deal. I heard that you are going to leave soon, be careful on the road, take care. I wish you a safe journey. Fire Phoenix was very respectful towards Lin Yi. After all, it could be said that he had saved the Northern Island, so she very formally said goodbye to Lin Yi. As for Languza, Fire Phoenix didn't want to pay attention to him. If it wasn't for giving face to Lin Yi just because he dared to call Fire Phoenix a firebird, she would have grilled this bastard. Senior Fire Phoenix, thank you for your guidance. I will come again in the future if I have the opportunity. Languza grinned and waved his hand. It seemed that he had tasted the sweetness, he still wanted to look for Fire Phoenix to learn from her again. Fire Phoenix glared at Languza. She really wanted to tell him to quickly get lost, she didn't want to see hin again. After a while Lin Yi and Languza picked two of the fastest flying spirit beasts. After saying goodbye to the Li family, they immediately soared into the sky and flew towards the south. As for Hou Guanqi, Shang Wani and the others, they could only ask Li Ziyu to help them pass a message and they would meet again later. After leaving the northern island, Languza flew to Lin Yi's side and said carelessly, "Boss, why are we riding such slow-flying spirit beasts? This speed is not as fast as my swimming speed. Why don't we go into the sea? It will certainly be faster than now." Chapter 60-34. According to Lin Yi's estimation, if Languza was given a piece of sea beast meat, he should be able to advance. However, with the guidance of Fire Phoenix, Lin Yi hoped that Languza could break through to the mountain opening stage on his own. This would definitely make a world of difference for his future development. One had to know that the relationship between the mysterious Ascension Great Perfection and the mountain opening stage was not only a difference of one level and one big realm, but also the essential difference between the Heavenly Tao realm and the Giant realm. How to break through? There were too many things to pay attention to. Boss, isn't this too difficult? Isn't it very easy to have a chi deviation when cultivating in the sky? Let's wait until we find a quieter place. Languza also wanted to be able to break through to the mountain opening stage as soon as possible, but this matter really couldn't be rushed. Even if it was just a little bit, it couldn't be done without the heat. Lin Yi frowned slightly. He wasn't dissatisfied with Languza, but he felt that something was wrong. However, when he extended his divine sense to the limit, he didn't find any problems. There was also no warning coming from the space of the jade pendant, which made Lin Yi wonder if he was a little too sensitive. Boss, what's wrong with you? Hey, I got it. I'll start cultivating now. If I have a chi deviation, remember to save me. Languza didn't notice anything wrong at all and was still talking to himself. No, Languza, you're right. Let's find a quieter place to stay first. Lin Yi waved his hand, and then controlled the flying spirit beast to fly to an isolated island in his divine sense. Languza scratched the back of his head. He didn't know what Lin Yi was doing, so he could only fly over. At this time he was already thousands of miles away from the northernmost island, which was already out of the Li clan's control and safety range. If something happened, Lin Yi couldn't count on anyone to rescue him. When the two of them landed on the island, a flying spirit beast suddenly appeared in Lin Yi's divine sense. On top of it stood two black-clothed and masked cultivators. They were very powerful. The power that was deliberately released, if it was an ordinary Profound Ascension late stage or Profound Ascension Great Perfection, they might not even be able to stand. The two black-robed men gently floated down from their flying spiritual beasts and stood firmly in front of Lin Yi and Mo Wuji. At this moment, Lin Yi finally understood that his intuition was correct. However, he didn't know what method they had used to be able to conceal themselves from his divine sense. Lin Yi, Master Lin, you really live up to your reputation. You were actually able to find our traces and deliberately landed on this small island to wait for us. Your courage is also very admirable. The black-clothed masked man in front smiled and applauded. It was unknown whether he really admired Lin Yi or was mocking Lin Yi. Who are you people? Why are you following me? Lin Yi naturally wouldn't say that he didn't notice the two people following him. He just looked at them with an indifferent expression as if he had a card up his sleeve. You don't need to know who we are. I just heard that Master Lin had a great harvest in the northernmost island. Why don't you take it out and let us brothers broaden our horizons? The masked man said as he slowly walked forward and stopped 2 steps away from Lin Yi. Robbing? A dignified earth-opening intermediate stage expert actually reduced to relying on robbing for a living? Even the follower behind you, a perfected mountain breaker, would be a big shot in any island, wouldn't he? Lin Yi smiled faintly, his eyes sweeping across the two, but his feet didn't move half a step back. At this time their strength was completely at a disadvantage. They couldn't show weakness in terms of momentum. Otherwise, they would be suppressed to the point where they didn't even have a chance to attack. Hey, your eyesight is really good. You can actually see through our strength and you don't seem to be afraid at all. It seems that you are very confident that you can defeat us. The masked man who spoke looked very surprised. In fact, he was completely pretending. If Lin Yi still couldn't see through their momentum, then he was really blind. Lin Yi, seeing that you are a high-level alchemist, we can give you a chance to surrender. As long as you swear to join us and cooperate with us to use restrictive methods on you, you can continue to live. Otherwise, today will be the day you die. The masked man at the mountain opening great perfection spoke coldly. His powerful aura was completely revealed, completely enveloping Lin Yi and Languza. The masked man at the earth opening intermediate stage turned around and waved his hand. You are really boring. Why do you say that? Isn't it good to have a good chat with them? Remember, I am in charge this time. I just don't want to waste time. After all, this place isn't too far from the northernmost island. If the Li family in the northernmost island notices something, it won't take long for them to rush over. You are very clear about the speed of the Fire Phoenix. Unless you think that you can deal with Li Zaixiong and the Fire Phoenix together. Although the guy at the mountain opening great perfection was speaking respectfully, he didn't seem to be afraid. It was unknown what the relationship between these two guys was. Such a talkative guy. I won't bring you out next time. The masked man at the earth opening intermediate stage muttered. Then he turned to Lin Yi and chuckled. You heard what he said, right? Now there are only two choices. Just say whether you want to surrender to us or not. Please say no. Lin Yi was speechless. Of course, he wouldn't surrender to these two guys who were hiding their heads and showing their tails. However, if he really said no, wouldn't it seem like he was being led by the nose by the other party? Boss, these two guys are really annoying. Can I beat them up? Languza rolled up his sleeves unhappily. He was already ready to make a move. As for the fact that the opponent's strength far exceeded his own, he didn't care at all. Anyway, as long as there was a fight, it didn't matter if the opponent was a weak golden stage chicken or a sea-splitting super god opponent. As long as you don't get beaten up by them. Lin Yi smiled faintly. He was already ready to make a move. Very well, I'll take it as you said no. The masked man at the earth opening intermediate stage grinned. He raised his hand and grabbed in the air. An invisible pressure suddenly bound Lin Yi and Languza. Moreover, it was still getting stronger. Languza let out a violent roar. His body emitted a series of cracking sounds, and he actually managed to forcefully break free. Lin Yi, on the other hand, took the opportunity to flash and escape the range of this restraint. Hey. You can actually break free. Are you really not at the mountain opening stage yet? This is incredible. It seems that today will be very interesting. The masked man at the earth opening intermediate stage looked very excited. He didn't care about the fact that he had broken free. He took a step and caught up with Lin Yi. Chapter 60-35. Languza let out a loud roar once again. He did not dodge or evade. Instead, he threw out a punch as well, colliding with the masked man's fist. A terrifying explosion formed a ring of invisible waves that spread into the sea, creating huge waves that were several meters tall. And the result of this exchange was that Languza suffered a slight loss. He staggered back 3 steps, while the opponent's figure only shook slightly, but considering that Languza was only at the profound ascension great circle, a whole level lower than the masked man, the one who was really shocked was the masked man. Lin Yi couldn't care less about Languza right now. He was about to face a super master in the middle phase of the Earth creation realm, an existence that was almost 2 whole levels stronger than him. Under normal circumstances, this kind of difference was enough to easily kill the weaker party. There was no chance for him to fight back. In fact, the masked man was like a ghost, instantly appeared behind Lin Yi and casually tore his phantom. The 3 cloud dragon appearances could not deceive this guy. Every time Lin Yi's phantom appeared, it would definitely be torn apart. Lin Yi even felt that this guy deliberately let him use the 3 cloud dragon appearances. Maybe he could directly catch his real body from the beginning. This was like a cat playing with a mouse playing with him. What was more frightening was that Lin Yi's divine sense attack had no effect on this guy. Whether it was the divine sense whirlpool or the soul reaping hand, they were completely ineffective against him. This was a big gap. He is really strong. This is the first time I have encountered such an opponent. This damn guy actually has a divine sense defense skill. Today is really troublesome. Lin Yi was secretly shocked. He was already thinking about how to escape from this guy's hands. Lin Yi used the lightning escape technique without reservation. He had no choice. The guy at the middle stage of Earth opening could catch him at any time. Only the lightning escape technique could barely deal with him. But that was all. If he wanted to fight back, he would not be able to think about it for the time being. Languza, you take your opponent into the sea to fight so you can use all your strength. If you really can't beat him, quickly escape. It will not be easy for them to catch you in the sea. As long as you leave, I will have a chance to escape. Lin Yi constantly used the lightning to dodge, took the time to send a voice transmission to Languza, telling him to quickly go into the sea. If Languza could leave first, Lin Yi wouldn't have to worry at all. With the help of the lightning evasion, it was still possible for him to escape from the hands of this masked man in the middle phase of the Earth creation realm. Languza usually looked careless and a little simple-minded. In fact, in his heart he already understood. When Lin Yi said this, he already understood the key, so he did not hesitate, immediately revealed his real body, suddenly attacking the masked man at the peak of mountain opening. In the state of the sea dragon, Languza's strength was a bit stronger. Relying on brute force, he actually knocked the guy at the peak of mountain opening away. Although his body was also hit a few times, his incomparably tyrannical body could completely resist this kind of attack, at most suffering some minor injuries. It was not a big deal. Taking advantage of the opponent's unstable footing, Languza desperately entangled with him, rolling into the sea with him. After the dragon entered the sea, it had an innate advantage. The originally small gap between the two sides was immediately wiped out. Ha ha ha, it is actually a sea dragon. This subordinate is so stupid. Today is really not a wasted trip. It is really interesting. The masked man who was running after Lin Yi actually laughed and clapped. It was unknown what he was thinking, but he seemed to be quite happy to see his companion in trouble. However, Lin Yi's mood became more and more heavy. This masked man still had the energy to pay attention to the other battle, and he could still laugh and clap unscrupulously while chasing, maintaining enough pressure on Lin Yi, clearly not using his full strength. This kind of strength was really too frightening. At the current stage, Lin Yi was not his opponent at all. The lightning escape technique in a small area was always traceable, and the second layer of body lightning manipulation could indeed change direction, but this guy did not need to be faster than Lin Yi. As long as he could grasp a point, he could intercept Lin Yi with half the effort. It was as if Lin Yi was a bird that was constantly circling in the sky, and the masked man was the hunter on the ground. He did not need to run the same distance as Lin Yi, he only needed to adjust the angle of the bow in his hand at any time. Languza and the guy at the mountain opening realm were getting farther and farther away, and they were already in a state where they could dive into the deep sea at any time. Lin Yi knew that it was time for him to leave, otherwise if this guy became serious he might not be able to escape. Once he used the lightning escape technique to escape in a straight line, Lin Yi estimated that the masked man should not be able to catch him. Are you thinking of using the lightning escape technique to escape now? That won't do. I haven't played enough. How can you leave? The masked man at the earth opening realm suddenly said with a smile, at the same time throwing out a formation plate. This activated formation plate instantly formed a force field, enveloping the entire island. The moment the formation was formed, Lin Yi suddenly discovered that his lightning escape technique had lost its effect. Not only that, but he could not even release the lightning arcs. Suddenly coming to a stop from his extreme speed, Lin Yi almost lost his balance. Although he was not clear what was going on, he knew that it was because of the formation plate. Perhaps this thing was similar to the space lock restriction escape flag. It was also an auxiliary tool. That wasn't the main point. Lin Yi was more worried that his thoughts had been completely seen through by that bastard. He looked like a psycho, but not only did he have an overwhelming advantage in terms of strength, his intelligence was on the line as well. Oh, I'm really sorry. Within the range of this lightning forbidden formation plate, all thunder attribute martial skills cannot be used. If you want to use the lightning escape technique to escape, you must first run out of the range of this formation plate. But without the lightning escape technique, do you still have a chance to escape? Well, I'm looking forward to it. How about this? I'll give you a chance. I'll count to 3. Let's see whether you can escape or not, okay? The masked man at the earth opening realm was indeed playing a game of cat and mouse. In his opinion, Lin Yi could be killed at any time, so it was not bad to have some fun before that. But for Lin Yi, the enemy's carelessness was his opportunity. If this guy had gone all out, he would have already died many times. But now, although he was in a difficult situation, at least he was still alive, and as long as he was alive there would be an opportunity. 3. Lin Yi directly roared. He absolutely could not follow the opponent's rhythm. If he really wanted to escape from the range of the lightning forbidden formation plate within 3 miles, then he would be an idiot. If he wanted to escape, he must first destroy the lightning forbidden formation plate. Chapter 60-36. Then he saw Lin Yi's palms each emit a ball of flame, which was immediately put together and thrown towards the location of the forbidden thunder array plate. Super pill firebomb. This was one of Lin Yi's strongest attacks. However, the bomb that was condensed in an instant definitely did not have that kind of powerful destructive power. At most, it could only be used to destroy the Forbidden Thunder array plate. The black masked man's figure flashed, and instantly appeared in the path of the Super Pill Fire Bomb. He stretched out his right hand and directly grabbed the Super Pill Fire Bomb. Lin Yi immediately used his divine sense to control and tried to detonate the Super Pill Fire Bomb. However, the trace of divine sense connection had been completely cut off. For the first time, the big move that Lin Yi threw out was directly caught by someone's hand without any intention of exploding. This bastard was really too strong. The black-masked man glanced at the Super Pill Fire Bomb in his hand and casually pinched it. The bomb that Lin Yi was unable to detonate suddenly exploded. However, all the power was confined in the palm of this guy's hand, and not even a little bit of it leaked out. This move is not bad. It's a little interesting. If you were a little more powerful, maybe I wouldn't have been able to catch this thing. The black-masked man smiled and lightly clapped his hands. The explosion of the Super Pill Fire Bomb was completely under his control. It did not cause any damage at all. Lin Yi felt a slight chill in his heart. The strength of the intermediate stage of Earth opening had really exceeded his expectations. In the face of this situation where he was completely suppressed by the opponent, he could only continue to think of possible ways to break out of this situation. Just now you did not follow the rules, so I will give you a little punishment. Are you ready? It will be a little painful. The black-masked man's voice had not yet faded when his figure appeared next to Lin Yi like a ghost and pointed at his shoulder. Unable to use the lightning escape technique, Lin Yi could only use the extreme butterfly subtle steps and desperately dodge to the side. Fortunately, he had the warning of the space in the jade pendant, because he could not clearly see the black-masked man's movements and whereabouts. Not bad, you can still dodge my casual finger. This is interesting. Continue. The masked man in black said in a relaxed manner while following closely behind Lin Yi. Lin Yi could not get rid of this guy even with the extreme butterfly subtle steps. If they were at the same level of strength, Lin Yi was sure that his butterfly subtle steps would be enough to deal with this bastard. However, the difference in strength between the two of them had made all techniques meaningless. The five-colored dragon-shaped murderous aura of the five elements roared and rushed towards the masked man behind Lin Yi. This was also one of Lin Yi's trump cards, but he didn't expect it to cause any harm to the guy behind him. He only hoped that he could delay the masked man for 1 or 2 breaths of time. Then he might be able to rush out of the forbidden area of the island. Beautiful, too beautiful. This was a good move, much better than the previous one. I want to change my mind and accept your surrender, the black-masked man shouted excitedly. However, Lin Yi's heart sank to the bottom. This guy's performance was naturally because the dragon-shaped murderous aura of the 5 elements did not cause any pressure to him at all. The divine sense attack was ineffective, the alchemy firebomb was ineffective, and the murderous aura of the 5 elements was ineffective. Lin Yi felt as if he had reached the end of the road, and there was no more means to use. Stupid boy, use the thunder burial. The ghost couldn't stand it anymore. It originally wanted to rest in the soul cultivation wood, but if Lin Yi was finished, the space in the jade pendant would naturally disappear. This forbidden thunder array disc is only a level 5 garbage array disc. It can isolate the thunder element in this range, but your thunder burial can directly communicate with the thunder element between heaven and earth. Only one blow is enough to break this garbage array disc. Lin Yi came to a realization. He really was blinded by the situation. He didn't think this through. It was like an egg. If a chick wanted to break out of its shell, it would need to grow up and have enough strength to do so. But if someone knocked on it from outside, the eggshell would shatter easily. Now the forbidden thunder array disc was that layer of eggshell. Lin Yi was like the egg white and yolk that had not become a chick. As long as enough strength was applied from the outside, in fact, there was no need to destroy the array disc to tear the restriction. Senior Ghost, in the future you should remind me of this kind of thing earlier. It really can kill me. Lin Yi didn't have time to say anything else. He had already started to use the thunder burial. Just as the ghost said, the thunder burial was formed by the gathering of the thunder element between heaven and earth. It was not within the range of the forbidden thunder array disc, so it would not be affected at all. In the blink of an eye, the thunder clouds in the sky densely covered the small island. There were constantly lightning arcs shuttling back and forth. The thunder burial had not yet been activated, but its momentum was already quite shocking. Why is there suddenly thunder? It seems like I can't continue playing. Master Lin, are you ready to go? The masked man in black had a faint feeling that something was wrong. The power of his attack suddenly doubled. Lin suddenly turned around and pushed out with both hands. In the center of his palms was a new super pill firebomb. It was different from the one he had condensed in an instant. This one took him at least 10 seconds to condense, and its power was several times stronger than the previous one. Go and take your Yellow Springs Road. Lin roared. The super pill firebomb was not out of his control at all. It was directly detonated in his palms. If Lin did not have the control of his divine sense, he would definitely be the first to die if he dared to play like this. But now he had the ability to direct the explosion. All the shock waves were concentrated in the direction of the masked man in black. At most, there would be a little aftershock on his side. That was not a big deal. The masked man in black was slightly shocked. He felt a trace of danger from this explosion, so he did not prepare to face it head-on. But before he could dodge, the sky was filled with dazzling lightning that was like a waterfall. The Forbidden Thunder Array Disc was not a defensive array disc. The outer restrictive spells were simply incapable of withstanding Thunder Burial's ferocious attacks. The endless lightning bolts fell upon the small island without any obstructions, not leaving a single gap. This was definitely the Thunder Burial that Lin had cast with all his strength. It was also the most powerful one that he had cast so far. The masked man in black was shocked. He could not even dodge the attack of the super pill firebomb. He had to bear the baptism of two super strong attacks at the same time. Even though he was an expert at the middle stage of the Earth creation realm, he was suddenly in a terrible situation. He was almost torn apart by that violent attack. Chapter 6037. Lin was also inexplicably surprised in his heart. This guy was really too tenacious. He was simultaneously attacked by the super alchemy firebomb and the thunder burial, but he was still able to stand. Lin once again launched the thunder escape technique, but this time he did not want to escape. Instead, he wanted to continue attacking. Such a powerful enemy, if he did not take advantage of this good opportunity to kill him, when he took a breather, the unlucky one would be Lin himself. Even if he could escape this time, how could he escape with so many people around him? Because of the restrictions of the Guardian Convention, the old monsters of the sea-splitting stage would not come out. This kind of earth-opening intermediate stage guy was almost the peak existence of the heavenly stage island. Who could Lin count on to protect the people he cared about? Only himself. The endless thunder arcs brought by the thunder burial covered the entire island. If Lin wanted to go to any position, he only needed to think about it. The black masked man did not have the spare energy to say anything else. He was trying his best to dissolve the thunder power that had invaded his body. He did not even have the time to care about the countless scars on the surface of his body caused by the super alchemy firebomb. Lin silently appeared behind this guy, and his palm directly hit the back of his head. He used his strongest 5 elements killing intent. As long as he could hit the target, even if this guy was an expert of the earth-opening intermediate stage, he would not be able to resist this kind of attack, right? The black masked man groaned and his body suddenly swayed slightly. At the critical moment, he actually avoided the attack on his vital point. Although he had no time to deal with Lin, his terrifying battle instinct still saved his life. Lin did not care that his palm had missed. The thunder escape technique was definitely the fastest technique in the world. So what if the black masked man barely managed to dodge it? At the moment when this guy had just dodged, Lin's position had already changed slightly. He did not need to take back his palm that had missed because he had appeared in a new place. If he directly hit it, the effect would be the same. This time the masked man could no longer dodge. Although he tried his best to avoid a fatal blow, Lin's palm still landed on his shoulder. Lin didn't care about this result. After all, when the 5 elements killing aura entered his opponent's body, it could also cause a terrifying killing power. Together with the lightning arcs of Thunder Burial, he could definitely let this earth-opening intermediate stage guy experience what it meant to be better off dead than alive. At the same time, Lin also displayed the immortal elixir fire divine awareness vortex, which began to tear and burn the primordial spirit of the masked man in black. Previously, when he was prepared, this move did not have any effect, but now it was completely different. He wanted to deal with 3 powerful attacks while also taking care of the defense of the primordial spirit, which even the strong man at the middle stage of Earth opening could not do. The soul-hooking hand might not be able to directly affect the masked man, but the consciousness vortex could continuously wear down the masked man's consciousness power, directly affecting his primordial spirit, and in turn affecting the masked man's resistance to the other attacks. The masked man at the middle stage of Earth opening intermediate stage was already regretting to death. If he could do it again, he would definitely not waste time playing with Lin Yi, but would simply kill him in one move. Who would have thought that a small ant at the peak of mysterious ascension late stage could actually force a master at the middle stage of Earth opening intermediate stage to such a dead end? That kind of endless trump card was simply terrifying. Stop. Lin Yi, let's stop. I will apologize to you and swear that I will never trouble you again. No. I swear that I will follow you. I will be your slave. As long as you stop. The masked man in black was really scared, and even desperately begged for mercy from Lin Yi. He did not even care about the face of a master at the middle stage of Earth opening intermediate stage. In the face of life and death, even the strongest person would be afraid, but Lin Yi would not believe a single word that this guy said. For an enemy that he could not control, if he did not take advantage of the favorable situation to directly kill him, would he be stupid enough to give the opponent a chance to kill him? Lin Yi would not make such a low-level mistake. He had relied on this guy's carelessness to turn the tables. Even if he wanted to talk, he would first make this fool lose all ability to resist. What I said is true, I can swear. The masked man in black roared loudly, but the only result was that his ability to resist was once again reduced. Whether it was the lightning arc, the murderous aura of the 5 elements, or the consciousness vortex, they all had an overwhelming advantage. It would only take a few more breaths of time and this guy would be completely defeated. Lin Yi was not satisfied with this. For a person who could multitask, the more powerful moves he had, the more power he could unleash at one time, especially in a situation where he did not need to worry about the consumption of consciousness and qi. Sensing that the defense of the masked man's consciousness had weakened, revealing many gaps and flaws, Lin Yi did not hesitate to use the soul-hooking hand again, and finally succeeded in pulling out this guy's spirit, leaving only his powerful body lying straight on the ground. Then it was completely twisted into pieces by the lightning arc and the murderous aura of the 5 elements. Lin Yi's spirit relaxed and his whole body suddenly felt a little weak. It was not because of the consumption but because this battle was too thrilling. He was almost completely suppressed by the masked man in black. If it was not for the fact that Lei Zong had exceeded his opponent's expectations and caught him off guard, he did not know how he would have died in the end. Far away in the sea, Languza was still fighting with the masked man in black who was at the full cycle level. He probably didn't see Lin Yi leave, so he didn't plan on diving into the deep sea first. Lin Yi raised his hand and took the storage bag left behind by the guy on the ground. He originally thought that this kind of thing was extremely rare, but now it seemed that it was only for people who were not strong enough. It was not uncommon for powerful experts to have storage bags. The level 5 Forbidden Lightning Array disc had been completely shattered, and Lin Yi was not interested in picking it up. He casually shot out a lightning arc and instantly fled to where Languza and the others were fighting. In just a breath of time, Lin Yi had already flashed crazily dozens of times. The speed of the lightning escape technique was indeed unparalleled. When he appeared in the sky above the battle, the masked man in the peak of the mountain did not immediately notice Lin Yi. Languza, you actually leveled up during the battle. Lin Yi used the method of qi spurting to temporarily stay in the air, and looked at the battle below in shock. Languza's aura was clearly much stronger and it was still rising. This was a sign that he had just broken through. How much time had passed? Was it even 2 minutes? Languza had actually broken through to the early stage of the mountain opening so naturally. Lin Yi had never heard of anyone breaking through like this. Chapter 6038. Boss, you've already killed that guy? You're really amazing. As expected of the boss. But you have to leave this to me. Don't fight with me. Languza didn't care about his own advancement at all. Moreover, he wasn't surprised that Lin Yi had killed an expert in the middle stage of the Earth opening realm. It was as if it was a matter of course. The only thing he cared about was that Lin Yi wouldn't steal his opponent again. It was rare for him to be able to use his hands and feet so happily. Moreover, the more he fought, the more he could comprehend the cultivation experience that Fire Phoenix had imparted to him. It was precisely because of this that he suddenly broke through. Originally, when Languza was still at the peak of the mysterious Ascension realm, he was only at a slight disadvantage. Now that he had broken through to the early stage of the mountain opening realm and was in the sea, he could completely suppress this masked man at the peak of the mountain opening realm. Finish the battle quickly and leave him alive. I'll wait for you on the island. Don't attract powerful sea beasts. Lin Yi saw that Languza was gradually gaining the upper hand, and his strength was also getting stronger and stronger, so there was nothing to worry about. After giving some instructions, he used the lightning escape technique to return to the island. Since the boss had given him instructions, Languza didn't dare to be negligent. He attacked with all his strength. Because his strength was still rising, each attack was stronger than the previous one. The masked man in black complained incessantly. If he could escape, he would definitely choose to do so. Unfortunately, he was in the sea. If he wanted to escape from the hands of a sea dragon, he would have to have the lightning escape technique like Lin Yi. Under Languza's indiscriminate bombardment, the masked man at the peak of the mountain opening realm only lasted for 7 or 8 breaths before he was captured alive by an opponent of a much lower level. At the last moment, he had no strength to fight back at all. Boss, I've caught this guy. Languza returned to the island and transformed back into his human form. He casually threw the dying masked man in front of Lin Yi. Lin Yi grabbed at the air and tore off this guy's mask, revealing a very ordinary middle-aged man's face, the kind that would not be noticed in a crowd. Speak. Who are you people? Why are you chasing after me? Lin Yi's spiritual consciousness carefully checked this guy's mouth and determined that there was no poison that could kill him. Cut the crap. Falling into your hands is also my fate. You can do whatever you want to me, but don't think about getting any information out of my mouth. This guy was very strong-willed. He was obviously beaten miserably by Languza, but he still looked at Lin Yi with a look of disdain. Languza went up and gave him a big slap, sending half of his teeth flying. Boss is asking you a question, so just answer honestly. Who are you trying to act like a boss? Do you believe that your Grandpa Lon will directly chop you up, steam you, braise you and throw you into the sea to feed the fish? Languza scolded and slapped him again. This guy spat out the blood in his mouth and sneered. He turned his head and did not speak again. A dead pig is not afraid of boiling water. I don't believe that I can't deal with you. Boss, can I use all my strength to beat him up? Languza was angry. He asked for Lin Yi's instructions as he prepared to go up and beat this guy up. Lin Yi waved his hand and said with a cold face, "It's useless to beat him up. Since he doesn't want to answer, I'll just search his soul." The guy on the ground paled instantly. He wasn't afraid of death, but he couldn't not be afraid of having his soul searched. His only hope now was that Lin Yi wasn't really going to search his soul, and was just trying to scare him. But he immediately knew that Lin Yi wasn't joking, because his primordial spirit was being devoured by a powerful primordial spirit, bit by bit. It wasn't fast, but the feeling of fear instantly destroyed his mental defenses. Wait, stop right now. I'll tell you everything. Stop right now. An expert at the great perfection of the mountain opening realm was so scared that he almost peed his pants. The feeling of his spirit being slowly devoured was far from being able to describe it as a living hell. Those who had not experienced it would definitely not be able to imagine it. I'll give you one last chance. Speak. Lin Yi smiled faintly and retracted his divine sense. Lin Yi had really only used this move to scare him. If he really devoured it, it would not be easy to digest. As for the soul-searching technique, once it started, it could not be stopped. It was better not to use it easily. We are from the East Continent's hidden death sect. We came to kill you this time because we received a mission. Actually, we do not have any grudges with you, Master Lin. If you can let me go, I will definitely cancel this mission when I return. I will never cause trouble for Master Lin again. This guy was sweating profusely and panting heavily as he finished speaking. He did not dare to stutter in the slightest, afraid that he would make Lin Yi unhappy. Hidden death sect? Does that mean your sect is an assassin organization? Who issued this mission? Lin Yi frowned slightly. Why would an assassin organization from the East Continent look for him? If it was someone from Rapid City or Night Moon City who came for revenge, it should not have been so fast. Could it be an assassin from Morningstar City? I really do not know who issued the mission. This is all the sect's contact. We are only responsible for carrying out the mission. If Master Lin is willing to let me go, I will definitely investigate this matter for you when I return. I will definitely find out who issued the mission. The guy calmed down and seized the opportunity to plead for himself. How many assassins does your sect have in total? What is the rank of the strongest one? What is your rank? Lin Yi did not pay attention to this guy and continued to ask about the situation in the Hidden Death sect. Master Lin, I really do not know about these questions that you are asking. The total number of assassins in the sect is kept secret. My rank is not high enough to know. It is the same for the rank of the strongest assassin. However, I guess there should be a super expert in the sea-splitting stage. This guy looked at Lin Yi with a bitter smile. This answer was obviously not satisfactory. He could only hope that Lin Yi would not search his soul or something like that. Seeing that Lin Yi was indeed frowning, this guy hurriedly continued. The ranks of assassins in our Hidden Death sect are divided according to their strength and the number of completed missions. On the surface there are 4 ranks: Heaven, Earth, Mystic and Yellow. In reality there is an even higher rank of Saint rank assassins. However, very few people know about it. Basically, no Saint rank mission has appeared. The other one and I are both Earth rank assassins. Chapter 6039. If you want to advance to Heaven rank, the minimum requirement is the Earth expansion stage. Then you have to complete enough missions with a high success rate. The guy that Master Lin killed didn't advance to Heaven rank because he didn't complete enough missions. Thinking about how Lin Yi had killed an expert in the intermediate stage of the Earth expansion stage, this guy really couldn't muster up any thoughts of resistance. Where is the Hidden Death sect located in the East continent? Draw me a map. Lin Yi didn't have the ability to deal with the Hidden Death sect now, but he might not be able to in the future. If these guys were to pester him, he would go to their lair and solve the problem once and for all when he became stronger. Master Lin, I don't know the exact location of the Hidden Death sect. This guy was about to cry. He also wanted to cooperate with Lin Yi, but he really couldn't answer these questions. We all returned to the headquarters through the teleportation circle, and the teleportation circle is located in a small town in the East continent. You have to prove that you're from the Hidden Death sect to pass through. I can draw a map for you, Master Lin. In order not to provoke Lin Yi, this guy wrote and drew on the ground very quickly, drawing the big cities around the town. Basically, he knew the exact location of the town, and then explained in detail how to get to the teleportation circle and the connection method. Lin Yi took a look and remembered it. This Hidden Death sect seemed to be quite mysterious. If they didn't provoke him, he wouldn't bother to make such a powerful enemy. However, if they were to pester him, Lin Yi would definitely uproot the Hidden Death sect after he became stronger in the future. Master Lin, I've told you everything I know. If you're satisfied, why don't you let me go? This Hidden Death sect assassin raised his head and looked at Lin Yi carefully, hoping that his cooperation could move him. Although this guy knew that he didn't reveal much information, he still hoped that Lin Yi would let him go if he was happy. When did I say that I would let you go? You taking the initiative to say it is only to save yourself from the pain of having your soul searched. Now you can go on your way in peace. Lin Yi glanced at the assassin indifferently. He would never let this guy go and find more assassins to deal with him. In the past, Lin Yi had also been an assassin. Of course, he knew that failing the mission would only cause more and more powerful assassins to continue the mission. However, if these 2 assassins were to disappear, there would at least be a buffer time for Lin Yi to prepare before the Hidden Death sect could confirm the situation. The assassin was slightly startled, but he didn't continue to beg for mercy. He didn't care about his life or death. As long as he didn't suffer the pain of having his soul searched, he didn't care if he died. Lin Yi raised his hand and waved. The soul-reaping hand sucked his primordial spirit into the space within the jade pendant. At the same time, he also took this guy's storage bag. He used his divine sense to sweep through it. Apart from the spirit jade card and some spirit jades, there were only some healing and recovery pills. There was nothing particularly precious. Languza, this storage bag is for you. It's your spoils of war. It will be more convenient for you to bring food in the future. Lin Yi put some spirit jade cards and a few pieces of earth opening stage sea beast's meat into it. Then he threw the storage bag to Languza. Languza, of course, wouldn't stand on ceremony with Lin Yi. He thanked him with a chuckle and put the storage bag away. Boss, what should we do now? Should we rest here or continue on our way? Languza looked around. After this island was ravaged by the thunder burial, it had become dilapidated. However, there was no problem for him to rest. Most importantly, because of the great battle earlier, no one knew where those few flying spiritual beasts had flown to. If they wanted to continue on their journey, they could only let Languza transform back into his true form and travel through the sea. In this way, it was only right for them to rest a little. You should stabilize your strength first. Then we will go. Linny didn't want to stay any longer. However, Languza had just broken through. It would be too hasty if they hurried on their way. Languza, of course, didn't have any objection. He immediately sat down cross-legged and began to cultivate. After half an hour, he finished stabilizing his strength after breaking through. Then he jumped up from the ground. "Boss, let's go," Languza said and changed back to his real body. Then he directly fell into the sea. Linny jumped on Languza's back. After identifying the direction, he finally set foot on the way back. "Boss, I didn't say anything wrong, right? My speed is much faster than those two stupid birds. If I had carried you back earlier, maybe we wouldn't have met those two killers." After Languza's breakthrough, his speed had greatly improved. Compared to the previous two flying spirit beasts, he was at least twice faster. It was no wonder that he began to boast. "Don't attract the attention of the Earth opening stage sea beasts. We have many more enemies in the sea than on land." Lin-Yi didn't dare to have the slightest carelessness. He spread out his divine sense to the limit. Although Lin-Yi had killed many powerful sea beasts in the war on the extreme North Island, if he really encountered an Earth opening stage sea beast in this place, it would be more dangerous than the two killers of the hidden death sect. After moving forward for thousands of miles, Lin-Yi's divine sense found another flying spirit beast chasing them. Its speed was even faster than Languza. It was obviously much more advanced than the two killers of the extreme North Island. "Languza, we seem to be in trouble again." Lin-Yi looked back indifferently. He had a hunch that the flying spirit beast was definitely coming for him, but he didn't know which side it was from. "Boss, who is so blind to actually come looking for trouble with us?" Languza had begun to get excited. If someone was looking for trouble, it meant that he could fight again. The battle with the killer of the hidden death sect gave Languza a taste of sweetness. Now he was hoping that someone would come looking for trouble, and at the same time he could practice his skills. This kind of free practice partner was not easy to find. Therefore, Languza seemed to be very angry, but in fact he was very welcoming of trouble in his heart. "Maybe it's along the way. Let's slow down first and wait for them to catch up." Lin-Yi smiled faintly, and his divine sense continued to lock on the flying spirit beast. There were two people riding on it. One of them was a little familiar to Lin-Yi. After thinking about it carefully, he remembered that it was the mountain opening stage master who followed Lin-Yi after the Gathering Gods branch auction. Chapter 60-40. When this guy realized that the situation wasn't right, he immediately left, so Lin-Yi didn't care. Lin-Yi didn't expect him to be among the people chasing him. Lin-Yi had never seen the other person on the flying spirit beast before. His strength seemed to be around the mountain opening consummation. Two mountain opening stage cultivators. "You're really looking down on me. Boss, can you hand them over to me?" Languza's consciousness wasn't any weaker than Lin-Yi's at all, so he had already seen through his opponent's strength. He immediately wanted to pull both of them into his hands. Beating them up like that would be the best way to enjoy it. The flying spirit beasts they're riding are also at the mountain opening stage. Don't underestimate your opponents. After seeing the power of the earth opening stage, Lin-Yi really didn't have any fear for the mountain opening stage cultivators. Especially since Languza's strength could easily defeat a mountain opening stage cultivator, there was even less to worry about. "I don't know if flying spirit beasts taste good. Boss, do you want to try barbecuing flying spirit beasts?" Languza laughed and didn't care about the pursuers behind him at all. "Isn't it just 3 mountain opening stage cultivators? What's so great about it? Fighting is only interesting when there are many opponents." After Lin-Yi and Languza consciously slowed down, the flying spirit beasts quickly caught up and blocked in front of them. As expected, Lin-Yi's premonition was right. They were coming for him. "Good dogs don't block the way. Who are the two of you? How dare you stop me and my boss?" Languza roared. He was already itching to fight at the slightest disagreement. "Master Lin, I'm sorry for disturbing you. Please forgive me." The flying spirit beasts hovered half a meter above the sea, and their flapping wings created waves. The mountain opening stage cultivator in front smiled and greeted Lin-Yi with his fists cupped. He didn't seem to have any evil intentions. Languza was secretly unhappy. Aren't they here to fight? Isn't that a waste of my feelings? They're really asking for a beating. Who are you two? What business do you have with me? As the saying goes, one does not hit a smiling person. Since the other party was polite, Lin Yi could only smile and cup his fists. We're from the blissful valley of the East Continent. I'm Hao Zili and this is Min Huichen. With a smile on his face, Hao Zili introduced himself and Min Huichen, who had chased after Lin Yi. For now, the two of them did not show any hostility at all. It was as if they were old friends who had come to send Lin Yi off. However, in reality, as Lin Yi, he had never seen the two of them face to face. He had only seen Min Huichen as Mu Shuang. Originally, when we were on the extreme North Island, we wanted to visit Master Lin. Unfortunately, you had been refining pills in seclusion with Master Li Zhao. When we finally came out, we heard that you had left the extreme North Island, so we could only chase after you. Fortunately, we didn't miss Master Lin. When Hao Zili saw that Lin Yi didn't speak, he explained the reason for chasing after him. However, he still didn't say why he was looking for Lin Yi. Cut the crap. Can't you see that boss and I are in a hurry? Languza raised his body impatiently and flew above the flying spirit beast that was hovering above the sea. He was not used to being looked down upon by someone from a high position. Hao Zili didn't care. He still maintained a polite but alienated smile. He nodded slightly to Languza and continued, I want to discuss something with Master Lin. Although it's not very formal to talk about it here, we have no choice but to make do with it. Mr. Hao, if you have something to say, please say it. We don't have much time. Lin Yi smiled slightly. He wondered if Hao Zili wanted to ask him to refine pills. If it was just to refine pills, it was not impossible to discuss. Seeing that their flying spirit beasts were extremely fast, they could go to the extreme North Island first. It was not a problem to save time to refine pills. Then I won't stand on ceremony. This time, we're here to ask Master Lin to part with the God-gathering branch that you've obtained. As for the price, we won't let you lose out. Hao Zili looked at Lin Yi with a smile, but there was a hint of murderous intent in his words. Lin Yi's face turned cold. The God-gathering branch was what he used to save Han Jingjing. How dare these two bastards want it? But the problem was, how did they know that the God-gathering branch was in Lin Yi's hands? With the special nature of the mortal world phenomenon, Mu Shuang's identity would never be seen through by two people at the mountain opening period. You two seem to have made a mistake. Although I also want the God-gathering branch, I didn't get it. You seem to have found the wrong person to trade with me. Lin Yi looked calm, but he was ready to fight. Since these two people from Bliss Valley came to him directly, they were basically sure that Mu Shuang was Lin Yi. Otherwise, they would not easily offend an advanced alchemist of the profound stage 2nd level. Master Lin, we don't lie in front of real people. Whether the God-gathering branch is in your hands or not, we all have a tacit understanding. Now we are willing to pay a higher price than the auction, which is enough to show our sincerity. Hao Zili still maintained that hypocritical smile, but his words were no longer as polite as before. Master Lin, are you wondering why we know that Mu Shuang is you? Min Huichen, who had been silent all this time, suddenly interrupted. In fact, it's very simple. The day before, you just bid for the mortal world phenomenon, and then the next day a Mu Shuang that no one knows appeared. Mu Shuang, Lin, what an obvious hint, right? In addition, although Master Lin removed the divine sense imprint that I left, the spirit tempering pill that you went to the auction house to auction is still recorded. In the entire northern island except for Li Zhaoyi and you, Lin Yi, who else can refine the spirit tempering pill? Lin Yi was speechless. This was indeed a loophole. When he left the northern island, he did not go to the auction house to settle the auction price of the spirit tempering pill. On the one hand, he did not lack the spirit jades, and on the other hand, he did not want to expose his relationship with Mu Shuang. He did not expect that in the eyes of those with ulterior motives, the seemingly rigorous plan was simply full of loopholes. But it didn't matter. Anyway, the God-gathering branch was in his hands. Even if others knew that Mu Shuang was Lin Yi, so what? It was just 2 mountain opening stage. Languza felt that there were too few opponents to satisfy him. I don't know what you are talking about. Get out of the way, don't hinder me. Although Lin Yi was not afraid of these two guys, he did not need to make enemies everywhere, not to mention that they had not taken the initiative to make a move. Chapter 6041. Boss, what exactly is the Blissful Valley? A high-class latrine pit? That's a good way to put it. Every time I eat too much, my stomach hurts. After I excrete, I feel extremely happy. In short, it's called blissful. That's what you mean, right? The reason why Languza deliberately humiliated the Blissful Valley was not only because he couldn't stand Hao Zili's pretentious act, but also because he wanted to provoke the other party so that he could start the fight quickly. Lin Yi secretly laughed. Did Languza have a time when he ate too much? There was never a time when he had enough. You're courting death. Hao Zili's face darkened. He put away his hypocritical smile and raised his hand to punch Languza. A mere early-stage sea serpent dragon. Did he think that he was invincible in the sea? There were 2 of them and a flying spirit beast here. None of them were weaker than Languza. If Hao Zili knew that 2 of the hidden Death Sect's Earth-grade assassins had been killed by Lin Yi and Languza not long ago, he probably wouldn't have had the thought of fighting. Languza, I'll leave it to you. Same rules, finish it quickly. Lin Yi smiled faintly. His eyes revealed a hint of coldness. Since the other party had made a move, there was no need to be polite. Boss, don't worry. Leave it to me. Languza roared excitedly. He finally got what he wanted. He could finally show off his skills. Lin Yi tapped his feet and leaped into the air. He let Languza display his strength to his heart's content. He only needed to support Languza from the side. Hao Zili's fist was blocked in midair by a condensed ball of water. Amidst the loud explosion, Languza's huge head passed through the splashing water and appeared in front of Hao Zili in an instant. The flying spirit beast let out a shrill cry and flapped its wings. In an instant, it rose several feet and barely avoided Languza's sudden attack. If it wasn't for the advantage of speed, this flying spirit beast and Hao Zili would have been slapped into the sea by Languza. How is this possible? It's actually so powerful. Hao Zili was shocked. Although his fist had defeated Languza's ball of water, it was still faintly numb. It could be seen that Languza's fighting strength was not inferior to his. Min Huichen had originally wanted to attack Lin Yi, who was in midair. Now that the situation was bad, she could only team up with Hao Zili to deal with Languza. Amidst the sonorous dragon roar, countless water pillars soared into the sky, forming a huge cage that constantly suppressed the space that Hao Zili and the others could move in. In just a breath's time, the flying-type spirit beast was already in a sorry state. If Hao Zili and Min Huichen had not joined hands to block the many water pillars, perhaps it would have been hit by Languza's water pillar cage. When did Languza learn this move? You're really quite powerful. Lin Yi was secretly surprised. His body used true chi ejection to fly far away. He casually found a box from the space in the jade pendant and threw it into the sea. Then he lightly landed on it. The situation in the water pillar cage could no longer be seen with the naked eye. Fortunately, Lin Yi's divine sense could still clearly feel all the changes. With Languza's strength, although he currently had some advantage, he could not immediately turn it into a victory. In reality, the reason why Languza was able to gain the upper hand was mostly because of his home ground in the ocean and this unexpected move. In terms of true combat power, he was still far from being able to suppress 3 mountain opening stage powerhouses at the same time. Do you know how powerful your Uncle Lon is now? There are even more powerful ones coming soon. Take this. Lin Yi could hear Languza's complacent laughter from afar. It seemed like this guy was rather satisfied with the fight. Moreover, during the fight, Languza's aura was clearly gradually increasing. Previously, on the small island, Languza had only initially stabilized his cultivation after advancing. It seemed like he had not completely digested the knowledge that the Fire Phoenix had passed on to him. Now, through the intense battle, Languza's strength was further increasing. Perhaps there was not much hope for him to increase another level and break through to the peak of the early mountain opening stage, but at least he could completely stabilize his strength at the early mountain opening stage and have the opportunity to improve further at any time. As for the intense battle in the water pillar cage, Lin Yi did not pay much attention to it. After confirming that Languza could handle it, he released most of his divine sense to monitor the movements in the surrounding sea. After all, this was the territory of the sea beast. The shockwaves from the battle could very likely attract the attention of the sea beasts. Reality proved that Lin Yi's worries were not unfounded. In just a short period of time, there was already a sea beast rapidly approaching them. Moreover, its strength was not low, reaching the peak of the mid-mountain opening stage. Once the sea beast discovered Lin Yi and Languza, they would probably have a lot of trouble for the rest of their journey unless they killed the sea beast quickly. However, Lin Yi was not sure if there were other sea beasts rushing over. After all, the ocean had many sea beasts. No matter what, Lin Yi did not wish for the appearance of the sea beast to disturb Languza's rapid increase in strength. Thus he jumped lightly and put away the box in the water. Then he shot out a bolt of lightning towards the sea beast. After a few flashes, Lin Yi and the sea beast at the peak of the mid-mountain opening stage collided head-on. The flames of the wild 8-trigram palm exploded. The sea beast at the peak of the mid-mountain opening stage revealed a faint look of disdain. Using a fire-type martial technique in the sea? Is this guy's brain broken? Doesn't he know that most sea beasts are water-type? Originally, Lin Yi's lightning escape technique made this sea beast somewhat fearful. It did not expect him to use a fire-type martial technique in the fight. Furthermore, it was such a simple and low-level martial technique. Immediately, some contempt rose in its heart. It was likely that it had not heard of Li Zaixiang and the Fire Phoenix exterminating the 100-kilometer sea beast tide with a single indefinite flame tide. Otherwise, it would definitely not look down on Lin Yi. The initial wild 8-trigram palm was indeed not very high level. However, this was a new martial technique that Lin Yi had created after combining two martial techniques. All the subsequent tricks needed to be deduced and comprehended by him. As his strength increased, its power naturally became stronger. It was easy to be invincible among those of the same rank, and it was quite practical to fight against those of a higher rank. The reason why he chose to use the wild 8-trigram palm in the sea was to verify the thoughts in Lin Yi's heart. When he was fighting with the Wind Tiger, he found that the wild 8-trigram palm was more powerful than before. It was true that water could subdue fire, but in a situation where it was like trying to put out a cart of firewood with a cup of water, fire could also burn water dry. The sea beast had contempt in its heart, so its attacks were somewhat casual. Against a human cultivator at the peak of the late profound ascension stage who used a fire-type martial technique, it really did not need to be on tenterhooks. Chapter 6042. Human ants, there is no place for you to survive in the ocean. The sea beast mocked, but in the next moment, it was unable to continue. Endless flames instantly spread across the surface of the 10-meter-tall wave. The closer it got to Lin Yi's body, the weaker the wave became. In the end, it completely dissipated, leaving only a large amount of dense fog drifting with the wind. Lin Yi's momentum did not change. The sea beast's attack did not hinder him at all, and the power of the frenzied fire 8-trigrams palm also rose to the extreme. There was no loud bang. Because it misjudged Lin Yi's strength, the sea beast did not even have time to react. It watched as Lin Yi's palm landed on its forehead. The violent flames did not erupt immediately, but completely entered its body like a tide. If it was a normal fire-type martial art, not to mention entering its body, it would be completely extinguished when it landed on its skin. However, Lin Yi's frenzied fire 8-trigrams palm was obviously not as simple as it looked on the surface. When the sea beast realized that it was too careless, it was already too late to turn back. The violent flames burned the meridians in the sea beast's body. A powerful existence at the peak of the mid-mountain opening stage was like an ant in front of Lin Yi. Could not even block one move and died. Lin Yi let out a breath of impure air. He was quite satisfied. The frenzied fire 8-trigrams palm was a martial art skill that he was very comfortable with. Previously, he felt that it was a little useless when facing opponents of a higher level than him, but now its power did not feel like it was a waste to abandon it. Lin Yi did not let go of the mid-mountain opening stage sea beast's corpse. He directly stored it in the space of the jade pendant. After all, if he left it alone, it would only attract more sea beasts. Lin Yi's divine sense swept back to Languza's side. The water pillar cage was still trapping Hao Zili and the others. However, the two of them and the flying spiritual beast were all experts after all. After a short panic, they had now stabilized their position and were evenly matched with Languza. Looks like there's no way to determine the winner in a short period of time. Languza's strength has also increased to the limit. Lin Yi calculated in his heart. Continuing to stay here was obviously more harmful than beneficial. It was time to break the balance between the two sides. Languza, we need to leave immediately. Put in more effort to kill them. Amidst the flickering lightning arcs, Lin Yi once again returned to the edge of the battle. He raised his hand and sent a dozen or so lightning arcs as thick as an arm into the water pillar cage. These lightning arcs were not enough to cause fatal damage, but if they came into contact with even the slightest bit of them, they would definitely cause numbness and slow down the other party's movements. It was perfect for breaking a stalemate. Boss. I'm sorry I couldn't finish the battle quickly. When Languza saw Lin Yi helping out, he immediately felt a little ashamed. He said that he would be able to finish this quickly by himself, but in the end he still had to ask his boss for help. How could he have the face to ask for a fight in the future? With this thought in mind, Languza exploded with 120% of his strength. With the help of Lin Yi's lightning arcs, he instantly controlled the situation. Hao Zili and Min Huichen were instantly flustered and looked extremely flustered. Stop. Master Lin, please stop. This time it's our fault, please forgive us for offending you. Hao Zili, who was trembling in fear, hurriedly opened his mouth to beg for peace. He completely forgot how arrogant he had been previously. Master Lin, the Paradise Valley is willing to become friends with Master Lin. We don't have any deep hatred between us, it's really just a misunderstanding. As soon as Hao Zili admitted defeat, Min Huichen also hurriedly admitted defeat. It was not easy to cultivate to the mountain opening stage. There was no need to lose her life for some insignificant matters in face. The spirit gathering branch was good, but one needed to be alive to use it. Languza did not care about these two fellows admitting defeat. As long as boss did not say anything, he would continue to fight until he killed them. Stop resisting immediately or I will kill you. Lin Yi appeared beside Languza like a ghost and looked coldly at Hao Zili and Min Huichen. If it was not for the fact that he had sensed two more sea beasts approaching at high speed, Lin Yi would definitely not have stopped. Since more and more sea beasts had noticed the fluctuations of the battle here, it was really not suitable for them to continue staying here. Hao Zili and Min Huichen felt a chill in their hearts. After looking at each other, they obediently stopped resisting. Languza alone was enough to fight against them. With the addition of Lin Yi, if they did not surrender, they would only last for a few breaths at most. Lin Yi flipped his hand and took out 3 black elixirs. These were poisons that he had casually refined when he was practicing, and they were suitable to control those who were afraid of death. Eat this poison. As long as I am satisfied with your performance, I will naturally give you the antidote. Lin Yi bluntly told them that this was poison. If they wanted to live, they had no choice. Hao Zili and Min Huichen looked at each other again and saw the helplessness in each other's eyes. People under the eaves had no choice but to lower their heads. If they wanted to live, they had to first hand over their lives. Both of them were considered to be decisive people. They knew that they could not resist, so they simply took the poison elixirs and swallowed them. The flying spirit beast also ate one. Languza, get on the flying spirit beast. Lin Yi called out and was the first to jump on the flying spirit beast. Languza immediately transformed into his human form and jumped on the flying spirit beast. The back of this mountain-opening spirit beast was quite spacious. It was more than enough for 4 people to ride on it. This was also one of the reasons why Lin Yi did not continue to kill them. With the flying spirit beast, it would be easier to get rid of the sea beast. Go! In Lin Yi's divine sense, it was no longer just 2 sea beasts approaching, but more than a dozen. If they did not leave quickly, their whereabouts would be completely exposed. Hao Zili felt aggrieved, but he did not dare to show any expression. He hurriedly signaled the flying spirit beast to follow Lin Yi's instructions. The poison was not a joke. As soon as it was swallowed, it could feel the power of it. The flying spirit beast let out a low cry, flapped its wings and quickly flew south. Although there were 2 more people, it did not affect its speed. After a while, the sea beasts that had gathered had completely disappeared from the range of Lin Yi's consciousness. Some of the sea beasts they met along the way weren't interested in flying spirit beasts during the mountain opening period, and so the journey to the North Island had been smooth and uneventful. Although Lin Yi was anxious to return to the Middle Island since he had come to the North Island on the way, he had to stay for a while to visit Shanghai Tianhua, find the Ragged King to refine the ghost speed wings, and see if he could speed up the fusion of the starry sky flowing flame gold with the flying saucer. Chapter 6043. Master Lin, do you think we can follow you around? It'll be easier for us to listen to your teachings. We're not in a rush to go back to Dongzhou anyways. Since you have this plan, just bring us along when the time comes. Hao Zili smiled carefully, hoping that Master Lin would allow them to stay. The poison was so powerful. If Lin Yi didn't go to the East Continent within a year, they would be poisoned to death. Who could they blame then? Even if Lin Yi really went to the East Continent, who knew whether he could find them or not? Therefore, the safest way was to follow Lin Yi closely. Senior brother Hao is right. We're willing to follow Master Lin. We can run errands and do chores for you. We'll definitely do it well for Master Lin. Min Huichen also expressed her opinion. He and Hao Zili had the same idea. They had to follow Lin Yi no matter what. If they stayed in front of Lin Yi every day, maybe they could detoxify them when they were in a good mood. Go back to the East Continent? They couldn't find anyone to help them. Lin Yi scratched his head. He really didn't want to take these two followers. He spared their lives because he wanted a flying spirit beast that could move fast to leave the place quickly. However, on second thought, he felt it was not bad to have these two experts in the mountain opening stage as followers. He didn't need to worry about many things, and he had enough manpower and ability to complete them. Well, since you want to follow me, then follow me. But now you have to wait here obediently. You're not allowed to step into the North Island. Do you understand me? Without much hesitation, Lin Yi arranged for the two people and the flying spirit beast to wait for him on the beach. Then they would go back to the middle island together. Don't worry, Master Lin. We won't run around. We'll wait here. Hao Zili and Min Huichen bowed respectfully. They were satisfied to stay. As for the antidote, they would get it eventually. Since Lin Yi didn't want them to follow him to the North Island, they could stay here. Anyway, there was nothing to visit in a remote place like the North Island. That's right. In the eyes of the East Continent, the North Island was a remote place. The density of spiritual qi and the average level of strength were not worth mentioning. That was to say, the leader of the sky-reaching pavilion, Shanghai Tianhua, was a great figure. When Lin Yi returned to the North Island, the first person he wanted to visit was Tianhua, and he would like to inquire about Shanghai Laner's departure time. In the reception hall of the sky-reaching pavilion, a young disciple stood respectfully beside Lin Yi and said, "Senior brother Lin, I'm sorry. The leader and the lady are meeting guests now. It's not convenient for them to see you now. If you have time tonight, the leader would like to invite you over for a chat." Although Lin Yi was a disciple of the Blue Cloud Pavilion, he was like a legend among the younger generation of the whole North Island. His reputation was almost as high as that of Ram Jia of the Law Enforcement Hall. Therefore, this disciple dared not to slight Lin Yi. "Since the leader is not free, I'll visit again tonight. Thank you for informing me, junior brother." Lin Yi stood up and slightly cupped his fists at the disciple of the sky-reaching pavilion. Then he left the pavilion with Languza. "Big brother, is this so-called leader very powerful? I can't even meet him." Languza muttered with slight displeasure. In his mind, no one in the world was as powerful as his big brother. Now that his big brother came to visit in person, he was rejected at the door. It was ridiculous. "Don't talk nonsense. Pavilion leader Shangguan is my respected elder. He's busy every day, so it's normal that he can't leave for a while. Didn't you hear that he'll be free at night?" Lin Yi glared at Languza. This guy sometimes spoke without thinking. It didn't matter if he offended someone unrelated to him, but it was not good to offend someone he respected. Languza shrank his head and laughed awkwardly. He immediately admitted his mistake. "So he's the big brother's elder. Then he's my elder, Languza. We'll visit again tonight. I wonder if he'll treat us to dinner or something." Just now in the reception hall, Languza had some tea and pastries from the sky-reaching pavilion. He felt that they tasted good, so he was already thinking about dinner. As for this foodie, Lin Yi chose to ignore him. He then directly rushed to the cave where the king of junk was forging. That guy was most likely beside the forging pool. The two of them were extremely fast. After a short while they arrived at the cave. Lin Yi led Languza through the restriction formation with ease. After scanning with his divine sense, he found that the king of junk was indeed inside, staring at the forging pool. "Brother Lin, you're back?" The king of junk would sense someone passing through the restriction formation. When he came out and saw that it was Lin Yi, he was immediately overjoyed. "We haven't seen each other for a few days. Do you need to be so enthusiastic?" Lin Yi smiled and pointed at Languza. "This is my new little brother. His name is Languza. Nice to meet you. I'm Wang Lanpa. Brother Lon, you can call me the king of junk. Everyone calls me that." The king of junk hurriedly greeted Languza with his fists cupped. Those who could follow Lin Yi were all his people, so there was no need to be too polite. You look like a nice guy. Just call me Languza. If anyone dares to bully you in the future, just come to me. I'll help you beat them up. Languza patted his chest hard. He did not forget to find a potential fight opportunity for himself. Okay. The king of junk did not know how to answer at that moment. He could only agree vaguely. In fact, after Lin Yi's rise, there were very few people who dared to bully him. With the help of Laner and Hong Zhong from Shanghai Laner, the king of junk had been living a good life for the past 2 years. There was basically no such thing as being bullied. After all, he did not occupy some positions like Xiao Ran. Naturally, no one would find trouble with him for no reason. In any case, Languza had good intentions. The king of junk expressed his gratitude. If he knew that Languza was looking for an opportunity to fight, what would he think? Brother Wang, you don't have to pay attention to this guy. I'm here for the ghost cicada wings. Lin Yi did not beat around the bush. He went straight to the point and took out the jade box containing the ghost cicada wings. The king of junk's eyes lit up. He was also very interested in refining the ghost cicada wings. However, he had all the other materials. He could not refine the ghost cicada wings except for the crucial ghost cicada wings. He was really eager. Now that he finally got the ghost cicada wings and could start refining the ghost cicada wings, he was in a good mood. It really is the ghost cicada wings. It's perfect. The king of junk took the jade box and opened it carefully. He could not help but praise in a low voice. Brother Wang, the materials for the ghost cicada wings are all here. How long will it take to refine them? Lin Yi was very concerned about this matter. Once he got the ghost cicada wings, his mobility would be greatly enhanced. Whether it was fighting or escaping, it would definitely be several times more efficient. Chapter 6044. Although the space of the jade pendant could be used as a supplement, it would take some time to convert the true qi into physical strength, and there would be a cooling period in between. With the ghostly speed wings, it would be a perfect supplement and connection. The effect was not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. The ghostly speed wings can be refined in a few days. Precisely speaking, about 5 days. Brother Lin, if you are in a hurry, I can speed it up and try to finish it in 3 days. The king of junk estimated in his mind and gave a time that Lin Yi was satisfied with. He could get the ghostly speed wings in 3 to 5 days. What was there to be dissatisfied about? Didn't you see that the lump in the casting pool was already 2 to 3 years old? Don't worry, take your time. We are after perfection. Lin Yi waved his hand with a smile. It made no difference to him whether it was 3 or 5 days. He had to go back to the middle island, and it was unrealistic to stay here for a few days. When Lin Yi came back from the middle island, the ghostly speed wings would have been completed. He could use them when he went to the east continent. Ha, Brother Lin is right. We are after perfection. The king of junk laughed. Lin Yi's words were exactly what he was thinking. If it was not for perfection, how could Wang Lampa get the title of the king of junk with his skill in forging? It was a great fortune to have a confidant like Lin Yi, even if there was only one. Brother Lin, I will start my seclusion to refine the ghostly speed wings now. Come to me in a few days and I will definitely give you a perfect pair of wings. The king of junk was ready to start work immediately. Wait, there's no rush. I just got here and you're telling me to leave already, Wang bro? Lin Yi looked at the king of junk, amused. Crafting addicts were a perfect description for this guy. No. Brother Lin, you can stay if you want. I might be able to speed up the process with your help. The king of junk waved his hand to show that he had no intention of leaving. However, he still wanted to start refining the ghostly speed wings immediately. Hey king of junk, you asked my boss to stay. Are you trying to drive me away? Languza was not stupid. He immediately grasped what he thought was the key point. The king of junk looked at Languza and grinned, but didn't say anything. Hey, Junk King, I thought you were a nice guy just now. Was I wrong? Languza pretended to be unhappy, but immediately winked at the king of rags. The two looked at each other and burst into laughter. Lin Yi had to admit that he was no match for Languza when it came to his ability to be familiar with people. Alright Languza, stop messing around. I still have things to talk to Brother Wang. Lin Yi scolded with a smile before taking out the flying saucer wrapped in starry sky flowing flame gold and handing it to the ragged king. The This is the starry sky flowing flame gold. The Ragged King's eyes immediately lit up. He took the flying saucer and looked at it fondly. Brother Wang has good eyesight. I want to know how long it will take to fuse with this starry sky flowing flame gold. Can you speed it up? Lin Yi pointed at the flying saucer and looked at the Ragged King with some expectation. As long as the flying saucer could finish fusing with the starry sky flowing flame gold quickly, Lin Yi would be able to come and go much faster. Did this flying tool come from Miss Han's hands? It's very similar to her style. It's really a wonderful work. In terms of forging, Miss Han's talent might even surpass mine. The Ragged King sighed before looking up at Lin Yi and nodding. Brother Lin, you used too much starry sky flowing flame gold. As the saying goes, too much is as bad as not enough. That's why it slowed down the progress of the fusion. Otherwise, with the current situation, the fusion should have been completed by now. Too much? Lin Yi felt slightly startled. He hadn't expected such a reason. Fortunately, he hadn't used all of the starry sky flowing flame gold. Even half of it was too much. God knows how long it would take to fuse with all of it. It's not difficult to finish the fusion as soon as possible. Just give me some time. I'll peel off the excess starry sky flowing flame gold. It should take about an hour. However, I hope Brother Lin can give me the stripped starry sky flowing flame gold. I can add a bit to the ghost speed wings to increase its speed. The Ragged King loved the flying saucer in his hands and didn't even look at Lin Yi when he spoke. No problem. If you don't have enough starry sky flowing flame gold, I still have more. Lin Yi naturally agreed. What reason did he have to refuse such a good thing? Thinking that he would be able to use the upgraded flying saucer in an hour, Lin Yi couldn't help but feel excited. In the future, he wouldn't need to ride a flying beast or a battleship to travel between the islands. It would be much more convenient to use this flying saucer. It's enough. I've calculated it. There's enough excess here. If I need more, I'll ask you. The Ragged King waved his hand. There was no need to be polite between him and Lin Yi. As long as it was useful for forging, he wouldn't hesitate to give it to him, no matter how precious it was. Brother Wang, can you see if these two masks can be fused together? Lin Yi took out the Worldly Phenomenon and Thousand Silk Mask and handed them to the Ragged King. The Thousand Silk Mask was the mask that Lin Yi used to use in the past. However, as his strength increased, the opponents he encountered also became more and more powerful. As a result, the weakness of this mask became more and more obvious. 4 cultivators at the Profound Ascension stage and Mountain Opening stage, this mask basically lost its purpose as a disguise. Therefore, he decided to bid for the Worldly Phenomenon. However, after obtaining the Worldly Phenomenon, Lin Yi didn't want to throw away the Thousand Silk Mask. If he could fuse them together and add a familiar face to the Worldly Phenomenon, it would also be a good thing. This mask is quite exquisite. It's a good quality product. Brother Lin, it should be enough for you, right? Fusing them together may not have a good result. Why bother to fuse them together? The Ragged King carefully put down the flying saucer and compared the two masks. He looked at Lin Yi strangely. The function of the Worldly Phenomenon was enough for Lin Yi to use until the Earth Opening stage. Fusing the Thousand Silk Mask with it might not necessarily have any improvement. On the contrary, the failure of the fusion would lead to some very bad results. I'm just used to using the Thousand Silk Mask. I don't really want to throw it away. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work. Lin Yi shrugged. It was good to keep the Thousand Silk Mask as a pure souvenir. I didn't say it doesn't work. It's just 2 masks. Don't worry, leave it to me. The Ragged King laughed and patted his chest confidently. He put away the 2 masks and said, I can give you both the mask and the flying tool tonight. If there's anything else, take them out. Chapter 6045. Speaking of casting materials, Lin Yi did have a lot of them. They were the spoils of war from the past few battles. For the time being, he did not want to cast anything, so he put them in the space of the jade pendant as a reserve. If the Tattered King needed them, he could take them out at any time. Well, since there is nothing else, are you going to stay and help me or come back at night to pick up the things? The Tattered King shrugged. In fact, with so many good things, he could not wait to start casting. He really did not care if there was anything else. I'll come back at night and take the opportunity to see my brothers in Blue Cloud Pavilion. Lin Yi wanted to get his hands on the flying saucer and mask as soon as possible, but since he had to visit Shangguan Tianhua at night, he'd have to wait for half a day. He might as well go visit Xiao Ran and the others at the Clear Cloud Pavilion. Alright, then I won't send you off. You can go by yourselves. The tattered king waved his hand at them and picked up Lin Yi's flying saucer. He began to peel off the excess starry sky blazing gold. This was the easiest work, and if it was delayed, it would only waste more starry sky blazing gold. For the tattered king, wasting high-level materials was the most shameful thing. Lin Yi smiled faintly and left with Languza. He'd known the king of garbage for so many years, and he knew the guy's personality like the back of his hand. He didn't mind. Boss, isn't it time to find a place to eat? Recently my stomach is not very good. I always get hungry easily. After leaving the cave, Languza began to complain about being hungry. Lin Yi suddenly laughed. Easy to get hungry easily with a bad stomach? His appetite was too good, right? This guy really talked about food 3 times. It was fine when he was at sea, but when he came to a crowded place he immediately showed his true colors. If you want to eat, just say that you want to eat. Who do you think will believe that you have a bad stomach? Lin Yi laughed and scolded. He pointed in the direction of Blue Cloud Pavilion and said, I'll take you to my place and find something for you to eat. I don't know if it tastes good, but I'll make sure you eat until you're full. Boss treats me the best. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Languza laughed heartily. He didn't feel guilty at all for having his lie exposed. Soon the two of them arrived at the Blue Cloud Pavilion. Unfortunately, this time they did not meet any acquaintances. According to the disciples of the Blue Cloud Pavilion, it seemed that Lu Bianren had taken Xiao Ran and the others to the nearby sea area to do some short-term task. They had just left for less than 3 days, and it was estimated that they would come back in 2 days. Perhaps they had calculated the time when Lin Yi would board the ancient battleship to arrive at the northern island, but they did not expect that he would leave the northern island in advance by flying Spirit Beast alone. Although it was a pity, Lin Yi didn't care too much about it. After all, it hadn't been many days since he came to the North Island last time, and he would come back soon after going back to Middle Island. He didn't have to worry about not having a chance to meet her. Boss, what should we do now? Are we just going to wait here until it gets dark? Languza asked in a muffled voice as he chewed. Lin Yi scratched his head, thinking that if he had known this earlier he would have helped the King of Rags set up the flying saucer and the mortal phenomenon earlier. It was not appropriate to go back now, and he might disturb the King of Rags. Do you want to stay here or go out with me? There are a lot of delicious food in the marketplace of the northern island. Lin Yi didn't want to wait here foolishly. Anyway, he had some time, so it was good to take Languza for a stroll. Hearing there was delicious food, Languza immediately stood up, wiped his mouth and said with a smile, Boss, what are we waiting for? Let's go now or we'll miss the promised visit time. Just as he expected. Lin Yi smiled faintly. Languza's reaction was exactly as he had expected. After leaving Blue Cloud Pavilion, they went to the marketplace of the northern island for a stroll. Seeing that it was getting dark, they went directly to the sky-reaching pavilion. Senior Brother Lin, the pavilion master has told me that if you come, please go directly to the pavilion master in the study. Seeing Lin Yi and Languza, the welcoming disciple of the sky-reaching pavilion immediately greeted them with a big smile, cupping his fists respectfully. Not to mention Lin Yi's prestige in the North Island, the fact that he was received in the study of Shanghai Tianhua was enough to make this disciple die of envy. In recent years, apart from Ramjia, Lin Yi seemed to be the only one among the younger generation. Okay, thank you, junior brother. Lin Yi smiled, cupped his fists and thanked him. Languza followed suit and followed Lin Yi inside. That disciple opened his mouth, wanting to say that Master Shangguan only wanted to see senior brother Lin, but then he remembered that he didn't say that he was going to see only one person. After a moment's hesitation, the two of them had already turned around the eaves and turned into the yard, so he decided not to open his mouth. If this disciple stopped Languza from entering, Lin Yi would naturally ask him to stay outside out of respect for Shanghai Tianhua. But since no one said that, he just followed. Senior Shangguan, Lin Yi is here to see you. Lin Yi came to the study of Shanghai Tianhua, cupped his fists respectfully and said loudly, Come in. Senior Shangguan, actually, I suspect that the incident at the extreme North Island has something to do with an organization. Lin Yi put the Shangguan family's matter aside and decided to bring up the main point. Let's hear it. Shanghai Tianhua nodded and didn't dwell on the topic of the ancient aristocratic families. As I mentioned just now, I caught a person who destroyed the array base. According to her confession, the whole thing was done by the South Island Auction Association. They communicated with the sea beasts through the spirit beasts, and finally formed a large-scale invasion of the far North Island. And there's another organization behind this South Island Auction Association, which I suspect is the center. In other words, it is the true core of the Central Chamber of Commerce. Lin Yi was talking about the information he got from Aunt Lon. As for the core, it was his own guess. I have also heard of the Central Chamber of Commerce. In fact, we have been paying attention to this organization for a long time. Not only was Shanghai Tianhua not surprised, but he also seemed to have some understanding of the Central Chamber of Commerce. Senior Shangguan, have you already noticed the center? Who are you referring to, Senior? Lin Yi was slightly startled, but he quickly recovered. With the speed of the Central Chamber of Commerce's expansion, it was impossible for it not to attract the attention of all the big shots on the other islands. I'm talking about my friend, the one who recently visited the North Island. We were talking about the Central Chamber of Commerce. You two can join me for dinner and you can get to know her. Shanghai Tianhua smiled. He didn't treat Lin Yi as an outsider at all. Languz's eyes lit up when he heard that he would be able to have dinner. His impression of Shanghai Tianhua instantly improved. However, Lin Yi's focus wasn't on dinner. Senior Shangguan, who is the senior you mentioned? If he wasn't mistaken, he should be the one who was going to bring Shanghai Laner to the East Continent. However, Lin Yi still didn't know who this person was. She's Zhang Jingmiao, the deputy dean of Feiyang College in the East Continent's Mystic Steppe Sea area. This time Lon became her disciple and went to Feiyang College to cultivate with her. This girl was spoiled by me. She refused to cultivate properly in the North Island, so I could only send her to Feiyang College to be disciplined. At the mention of Shanghai Laner, Shanghai Tianhua suddenly showed a doting expression on his face. Lin Yi was sure that what he said was true. However, this wasn't the point. The point was that Shanghai Tianhua was friends with the deputy dean of a college in the Mystic Steppe Sea area. Before, Lin Yi had tried his best to overestimate Shanghai Tianhua's influence in the East Continent, but now he realized that he had underestimated him too much. The deputy dean of a college in the Mystic Steppe Sea area couldn't be compared to the Yellow Steppe Sea area. Although Zhuang Yifan was powerful in the Yellow Steppe Sea area, he might not be as popular as Zhang Jingmiao in the Mystic Steppe Sea area. You mean that the center has already attracted the attention of the Mystic Steppe Sea area in the East Continent? Lin Yi found it hard to believe. If the people of the Mystic Steppe Sea area made a move, even if the center had already set up arrangements on the other islands, they probably wouldn't be able to resist. If the center was given a few more years to develop, the result would be hard to say. You can't say that. The Mystic Steppe Sea area doesn't care much about the other islands. Zhang Jingmiao only brought out her personal experience to discuss with me. She didn't pay too much attention to the center. However, after you brought news about the extreme North Island, things might be a little different. Shanghai Tianhua smiled and waved his hand. He then said, "Let's talk about this during dinner. Now let's talk about something else. Okay, I also want Senior Zhang Jingmiao to pay attention to the center. This organization is really troublesome." Lin Yi mentioned it briefly and then changed the topic. "Senior Shangguan, I've never heard of the Shangguan family when I was in the North Island. So, the actual controller of the North Island is your family?" Chapter 6047. Senior Shangguan, you said the Shangguan family is the leader. Does that mean there's more than one ancient family on the North Island? Lin Yi was really surprised this time. It turned out that he still didn't know much about the Heaven Stage Island. He wouldn't know how much power they had hidden under the surface until they showed it. You're very smart. You've guessed the truth with just one sentence. There are 3 ancient families on the North Island, including the Shangguan family. Their overall strength is not as good as the other islands, but their top combat strength is not inferior. Shanghai Tianhua smiled faintly. There was a hint of pride in his eyes. Lin Yi was secretly shocked. Apart from the Shangguan family, there were 2 other ancient families on the North Island? Their strength was absolutely shocking. I can't tell you too much about these things for now. When your strength reaches a certain level, you'll naturally come into contact with them. Now you just need to have a rough idea. Shanghai Tianhua didn't want to continue, so Lin Yi didn't ask which ancient families were on the North Island. Lin Yi knew about the Okuda family on the Middle Island, but judging from the North Island, there might be other ancient families hiding in the dark. Senior Shangguan, if that's the case, there should be ancient families on the West Island and the South Island, right? Lin Yi thought for a moment. The Ning family on the West Island must be one, but it was hard to say for the South Island. Sure enough, Shanghai Tianhua smiled and nodded. There are indeed ancient families on the West Island, but the South Island is a bit chaotic. I don't know what's going on right now. When the Guardian Pact was signed, the South Island was one of them. However, a long time ago the other islands lost contact with the ancient families on the South Island. Is it because of the spirit beasts? Lin Yi thought this was very possible. There were many powerful warriors in the spirit beasts, especially the Azure Dragon and Vermilion Bird, who had the bloodline of divine beasts. Their strength was even more terrifying. They were invincible among their peers, and it was normal for them to fight against those at a higher level. It's possible. No one knows the real situation. Coincidentally, there's something I want to tell you about the South Island. As Shangguan Tianhua said that, he suddenly hesitated for a moment. Senior Shangguan, please tell me what you need. As long as I can do it, I won't refuse. Lin Yi knew that Shanghai Tianhua wanted to ask him for help, but he didn't know what to say. No problem. What kind of information does Senior Shangguan want me to get? It's nothing important. I know you'll send Lan to the East Continent, but Vice Dean Zhang Jingmiao has to wait for the Okuda Dam's fleet to complete the round trip to the North Island, and then pick up the rest of the other islands in the East Continent. The fleet will depart in a few months. If you don't, can you help to get some information on Shangguan? Guan I Don. Guan, Shangguan said. Guan Guan Shangguan I. But before that, I need to go back to the Middle Island. It won't take long. Lin Yi agreed without hesitation. Shanghai Tianhua had done him a favor. No matter what the request was, as long as it didn't violate his conscience, he would not refuse. What was more, even without Shanghai Tianhua's request, Lin Yi was ready to find time to go to the South Island. Apart from other things, the South Island plan of the center had always been like a fishbone in his throat. He couldn't rest assured until he solved it. Since Shanghai Laner's trip to the East Continent would take a few months, he had enough time to explore the South Island. Moreover, he would sail with Okuda Dam this time, which put Lin Yi in a good mood. No problem. If you have something to do, just do it. If you can spare time to go to the South Island, you can. If you can't, it's okay. Shanghai Tianhua nodded with a smile. He really wanted to ask Lin Yi for help instead of ordering Lin Yi to do something. After a short pause, Shanghai Tianhua continued without waiting for Lin Yi to speak. Many places in the sea area near the South Continent are controlled by the Spirit Beast clan, and they collect high taxes. It's becoming more and more difficult for human cultivators to survive in that sea area. This is quite strange. Do you want me to investigate this matter? Lin Yi looked a little serious. In fact, he was the first to know this news. A similar thing had happened when he went to the South Island. Now it seemed that the development was out of the control of the human clan. You can say that, but I don't need you to take risks. There are many experts in the Spirit Beast clan. Although your strength is good now, it's not enough in the South Island. In the past, as long as the human cultivators in the sea area of the South Continent didn't go to the Spirit Beast forest, they basically minded their own business with the Spirit Beast clan. This time, the Spirit Beast clan suddenly invaded the living space of the human cultivators on a large scale. There must be something strange about it. Shanghai Tianhua frowned slightly and didn't know how to explain it to Lin Yi. Do you want me to find out why the Spirit Beast clan suddenly left the Spirit Beast forest? Or do you suspect that someone cooperated with the Spirit Beast clan to occupy a large area of the human cultivators' territory so easily? Lin Yi had kind of understood Shanghai Tianhua's meaning. Thinking of the center that had just been mentioned, Shanghai Tianhua was probably also suspecting that the center was behind the actions of the Spirit Beast clan. Yes. Don't risk your life in the Spirit Beast forest. All you need to do is to gather information in the areas controlled by the Spirit Beast clan and find out who exactly is working with the Spirit Beast clan. I'm sure you already have some guesses in your mind, but I need more concrete evidence to prove it. Shanghai Tianhua looked quite serious. Lin Yi guessed that this matter might have something to do with the center, so he didn't dare to neglect it. I understand. I will definitely handle this matter. If I don't have to go back to the Middle Island, I even want to set off to the South Island now. If it was really the center who was playing tricks behind the scenes, maybe this was the plan of the South Island. Or maybe it was just part of the plan. In any case, Lin Yi had to get to the bottom of it as soon as possible. Not now. It's lunchtime soon. Let's go and have a simple meal first and get to know Deputy Dean Zhang Jingmiao. He's an expert. With her support, you can also do whatever you want in the East Continent in the future. Shanghai Tianhua was in a good mood and joked casually. Of course, he knew that even if Lin Yi wanted to do whatever he wanted, he always relied on his own strength instead of having someone to support him. Chapter 6048. Then let's go together. Shanghai Tianhua laughed as he stood up and walked out first. Lin Yi glared at Languza. This guy really doesn't change. He doesn't forget to eat wherever he goes. It's really shameful. The three of them came to the Shangguan family's dining room unhurriedly. There were no round tables here. Instead, there were many small long tables. Each of them sat down and ate separately. Seeing this arrangement, Lin Yi suddenly felt relieved. If it was the kind of big round table where everyone was together, he was very worried that the dishes would be swept away by Languza as soon as they were served. If that happened, he really wouldn't have the face to visit the Shangguan family in the future. Shanghai Tianhua didn't know what Lin Yi was thinking. He sat down on the main seat and waved his hand casually. You can sit anywhere you want. I don't have so many rules here. Although he said so, Lin Yi didn't really dare to break the rules. The first seat on the left of the main seat must be reserved for Deputy Dean Zhang Jingmiao. If no one else came, then it shouldn't be a big problem to sit on the first seat on the right. If it wasn't in front of Shanghai Tianhua, Lin Yi wouldn't have so many scruples. Facing a respected elder would always be a little uncomfortable. Just as Lin Yi pulled Languza to the right and was about to sit down, he saw two beautiful women outside the door. One of them was Shangguan Laner, and the other was a middle-aged beautiful woman. Although her appearance was not as good as Lan, she was graceful and elegant. At first glance, people would feel a sense of respect. She was definitely not a simple person. Needless to ask, this beautiful woman was the deputy dean of Feiyang College in the Xuanjiesi area, Zhang Jingmiao. Lin Yi, you're here. Why didn't anyone inform me? Shangguan Laner saw Lin Yi as soon as she came in. She was immediately overjoyed and ran over happily. However, the curly bear was one step ahead of her. When the little guy saw Lin Yi, he quickly climbed onto his shoulder and intimately rubbed his face with his head. However, when Languza approached, the coiled bear trembled all over. Probably felt the aura of the Shanghai flood dragon. It hurriedly waved its claws at Lin Yi, jumped to the ground and immediately ran away. Even when Shanghai Laner called out to it, it didn't look back. Left with no choice, Lin Yi could only let it go. Unruly. Shanghai Tianhua's face turned serious as he berated loudly. Even though Shanghai Tianhua had always doted on Lan, Zhang Jingmiao was her master now. How could she so casually greet others before her master? At the very least, he should have reported it first. Senior brother Shangguan Lan, is innocent and naive. Don't make such a big fuss to scare her. Zhang Jingmiao smiled and waved her hand, pleading for Shanghai Laner. It seemed that she also liked this little girl very much. Junior sister Zhang, I want to find a strict master for this little girl. If you spoil her so much, won't you repeat my mistakes? Shanghai Tianhua suddenly smiled bitterly, but since Zhang Jingmiao had spoken, he couldn't say anything more. Shanghai Laner shrank her head and quietly stuck out her lilac tongue at Lin Yi. She quickly turned around and held Zhang Jingmiao's arm, saying, Master, don't listen to my grandfather. He just wants me to go out and suffer. Master, you have to be my solid support. You little girl, you need to be disciplined. Your grandfather is right. Zhang Jingmiao deliberately put on a cold face, but the smile in her eyes couldn't be concealed. It would be strange if she could scare Shanghai Laner. Lin Yi, this is Zhang Jingmiao whom I mentioned to you before. She is now Laner's master. Junior sister Zhang, this is Lin Yi, a genius disciple of the young generation of our North Island. Shanghai Tianhua stared at Shanghai Laner, stood up and introduced them briefly. Lin Yi pays his respect to you, senior. Lin Yi didn't dare to neglect and saluted respectfully with his hands folded. This time Languza was very perceptive. He didn't need to be reminded and also saluted and greeted him in a proper manner. Winnie, I know you. I've heard someone mention you these days. You really have outstanding talent and look like a talent. Zhang Jinmiao looked at Shanghai Laner with a smile. The meaningful look in his eyes suddenly made this girl blush and stamp her feet unwillingly. Shanghai Tianhua laughed and asked everyone to take a seat. Then he asked people to serve the food. Languza, you should eat gently or I won't take you out in the future. Lin Yi secretly warned Languza that this guy's table manners were too frightening. It was okay in other places, but in front of Shanghai Tianhua and Zhang Jingyao he had to save some face. Languza immediately nodded with a bitter face. He thought he had always been very gentle. He didn't know what the boss understood. It's really difficult. It should be okay to divide one mouthful into two mouthfuls, right? Putting aside this guy's dilemma, Shanghai Tianhua, as the host, first toasted them and then changed the topic to the northernmost island. He asked Lin Yi to describe the situation in detail to Zhang Jingyao again. After hearing the specific situation of the sea beast tide attacking the northernmost island, Zhang Jinmiao's expression also became somewhat serious. The sea beast tide was not rare, but the sea beast tide launched by the human clan and the spirit beast clan was really rare, especially when it was likely to involve the center. Senior brother Shangguan, do you and Lin Yi think that this matter is related to the center? Zhang Jinmiao stopped drinking and looked at Shanghai Tianhua and Lin Yi solemnly. The possibility is very high, so I asked Lin Yi to find a way to investigate the South Continent before going to the East Continent. With his strength, he won't attract the attention of the Spirit Beast clan. Moreover, he can guarantee his own safety. He is a very suitable candidate. Shanghai Tianhua nodded slightly. He already felt that the center would become a major unstable factor on the Heaven Stage Island, so he wanted to find out the details of the other party as soon as possible. Lin Yi suddenly understood why Shanghai Tianhua asked him to go to the South Island. With his combat strength, an ordinary mountain opening stage was not a match for him at all. As long as he didn't enter the Spirit Beast Forest, there was absolutely no problem for him to protect himself. On the surface, Lin Yi's strength had not reached the mountain opening stage, so he really wouldn't attract the other party's attention. The only thing he needed to worry about was the center's attention on him. However, after the mortal Vientiane was refined again, there was nothing to worry about. In this case, I'll trouble Lin Yi to go to the South Continent. As for the final preparations, we'll discuss it after you come back. Zhang Jingyao smiled, and the way he looked at Lin Yi became more and more gentle. Senior, don't worry. I won't let you down. Lin Yi cupped his hands at Zhang Jingyao, then he changed the topic and asked about the Xianstep Sea area. Senior Zhang, we'll talk about the South Island later. I wonder if it's convenient for you to tell me about the Xianstep Sea area? In fact, I've been to the Yellow Steppe Sea area in the East Continent before, and I've always been looking forward to the Xianstep Sea area. This is a rare opportunity, so I'd like to ask for your advice. Of course you can. In fact, the Xianstep Sea area is not as mysterious as you think. It's not much different from the Yellow Steppe Sea area. It's also composed of various cities, academies, and sections. The only difference is that the spiritual qi is more intense and there are more experts. Zhang Jingyao nodded with a smile. She first gave a general introduction, but this kind of answer definitely wouldn't satisfy Lin Yi. Chapter 6049. Lin Yi knew that the standard of the students in the Mystic Sea Region Academy was very high, but he didn't expect that there would be a teacher at the sea-splitting stage. With the guidance of such a master, it was no wonder that the geniuses in the Yellow Sea region were fighting to enter the Mystic Sea Region Academy. In addition, there are various courses to choose from in the academy, such as alchemy, blacksmithing, formations, and so on. As long as you want to learn, there's nothing you can't learn. Shanghai Laner was very proud to introduce to Lin Yi. She spared no effort to boast about the Mystic Sea Region Academy because she wanted Lin Yi to stay there with her. Otherwise, how boring would it be for her to be alone? Although Zhang Jingyao loved Shanghai Laner very much, she was still her master. If she wanted to slack off and play, she couldn't just look for her master, right? That would be looking for a beating. Oh right, I heard from Lon, that you're also a very powerful alchemist. You're already at the Mystic First level? Zhang Jingmiao's eyes suddenly lit up and looked at Lin Yi with interest. Although a mystic first-level alchemist was not rare in the Mystic Sea region, such a young mystic first-level alchemist was very rare. Not to mention that Lin Yi's own combat power was also extremely amazing. If he could be accepted into Feiyang College, it would definitely not be a loss. I'm not powerful, I can only refine some pills. Lin Yi waved his hand very modestly. Although he already had the title of a mystic second-level alchemist in the extreme North Island, but after all he relied on the Shinong Cauldron and the automatic alchemy system. So when he could keep a low profile, it was better not to be too arrogant. Really good. Our Feiyang Academy has a very complete system of elixir refinement. If you're interested, you can stay with Lon to learn a thing or two when you go to Dongzhou. I'm sure it'll be of great help to you. Zhang Zhenmiao didn't directly say that she wanted to recruit Lin Yi, but everyone understood what she was trying to say. It was a shame that Zhang Jingmiao didn't know that Lin Yi's master was Zhang Liju, otherwise she would have changed her story. Even in the Mystic Sea region, the name of Miracle Pill Doctor wasn't something the masters of the academies could compare to. Thank you, Senior Zhang. Junior is naturally interested in such an opportunity. When the time comes, I'll still need Senior's help. Of course, Lin Yi wouldn't reject such a good opportunity. Whether or not he would stay in Feiyang College in the end, it was better to learn something useful first. A sweet smile appeared on Shanghai Laner's face. She was already very happy that Lin Yi was able to go to the East Continent with her, and now he could stay in Feiyang College with her. What could be better than this? Zhang Jingmiao was also very satisfied with Lin Yi's attitude. To be able to get a genius like this trip was definitely a great harvest. Plus there was also Shanghai Laner, who was also very talented. If it wasn't for the fact that she had been slacking off, her strength would definitely be much higher than her peers. Senior Zhang, I'd like to ask if there are any courses in the school on spiritual sense training? Lin Yi had the Heaven's Fortune battle art to train his spiritual sense, but he had never had any systematic contact with it. It would be perfect if Feiyang College had a course on spiritual sense training. Hey, you've already started cultivating your divine sense? Zhang Jingmiao's eyes lit up and her face showed a hint of surprise. Originally she thought that she had already overestimated Lin Yi, but now it seemed that she had still underestimated him. In the magnate realm, although the divine sense was not the main fighting method, it could also be used as a support to increase the fighting strength. A cultivator with a powerful divine sense against a cultivator with a weak divine sense could form a complete suppression in the case of the same strength. It's just a little bit of spiritual sense. Lin Yi waved his hand modestly. He didn't say how powerful his spiritual sense was. Zhang Jingmiao didn't doubt it. Generally speaking, spiritual sense training was only started after the mountain opening stage. It was not easy for Lin Yi to be able to get a little bit of spiritual sense with his profound ascending stage strength. If she knew that Lin Yi's so-called little bit of spiritual sense was enough to crush her, how would she feel? You can cultivate spiritual sense in advance. It can be said that you're quite far-sighted. Normally, practitioners only start to cultivate spiritual sense after the mountain opening stage. In a real battle, spiritual sense can be used as a support method, and it can improve a lot of combat power. But if you want to directly use it as a means of attack or defense, you have to at least reach the sea-splitting stage. However, some practitioners who specialize in spiritual sense can be very strong in the mountain opening stage, and some geniuses in the earth opening stage can also use various spiritual sense skills. Zhang Jingmiao thought that Lin Yi might be a genius in spiritual sense. When he reached the earth opening stage, he should be the first person under the sea-splitting stage. After a slight pause, Zhang Jingmiao continued. There are indeed courses about spiritual sense in the academy, but they are basically designed for students in the mountain opening stage, and they are also very superficial use of spiritual sense, such as assisting in fighting, making it more accurate to attack, easier to find the opponent's flaws, and releasing spiritual sense to scout the surrounding environment and find some places that are not easy to see with the naked eye and so on. So, there is no teaching of spiritual sense attack or defense skills in the academy? Lin Yi was slightly disappointed in his heart. The use of spiritual sense that Zhang Jingmiao said was indeed the most superficial thing. It could be said that it was the foundation of the foundation, and it was of no use to him at all. Compared to the small immemorial underworld, the Heaven Stage Island's spiritual sense was really too inferior. If the small immemorial underworld had the rich spiritual chi and perfect advancement resources like the Heaven Stage Island, the experts that came out of it would definitely be able to crush opponents of the same level in the Heaven Stage Island. There is no public teaching of spiritual sense skills, but there are some ancient books in the Academy's Sutra Pavilion. As long as you have enough academic credits, you can go to the Sutra Pavilion to exchange for what you want. Zhang Jingmiao saw that Lin Yi was very interested in spiritual sense skills, and immediately threw out the Sutra Pavilion as a bargaining chip. Lin Yi showed enough interest as expected. How do I obtain academic credits? Apart from exchanging for things in the Sutra Pavilion, are there any other uses? Of course, academic credits are equivalent to the Academy's currency, and can only be obtained by completing missions or performing well. As long as the Academy releases resources, you can exchange for them, including elixirs for cultivation, weapons, tools, cultivation techniques, and so on. You will understand these things when you arrive at the Eastern continent, and I can't explain it clearly now. Zhang Jingmiao gave a brief introduction and waved her hand without saying anything else. Only by keeping Lin Yi in suspense would it make him want to join Feiyang College even more. Chapter 60-50. The dinner was a joyous one, and Lin Yi left with Languza, preparing to head to the King of Junk's crafting pool. The sky was already dark, and the flying saucer and red dust phenomenon should have been completed by now. As long as he got them, he'd be able to fly straight to Middle Island. However, as soon as Lin Yi and Lan Xuanyu walked out of Towering Pavilion, they saw Li Jingming pacing back and forth at the door, looking a little anxious. Li Jingming, why are you here? Lin Yi was surprised, but he was quite happy. He thought everyone had gone out to carry out the task with Lu Bianren, but he didn't expect that Li Jingming was still in North Island. Boss Lin Yi, I heard you came back, so I came to wait for you. Li Jingming looked up and saw Lin Yi. He hurried to greet him, and the anxiety on his face turned into excitement. Languza had long since gotten used to Li Jingming's underlings popping out from time to time. He patted Li Jingming's shoulder casually, pointing at his own nose. Bro, you're Li Jingming, right? I'm Languza, boss's underling. Let's get to know each other better in the future. I'm easy to get along with as long as you take me to eat delicious food. Hello, Brother Lan. Li Jingming was slightly stunned. This big guy named Languza had a strong sense of oppression. He was definitely a master, so Li Jingming didn't dare to neglect him and greeted him politely. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This guy really talked about food. He had just had dinner, but when he saw Li Jingming, he talked about food again. Li Jingming, what's the matter? You seem to be in a hurry. I didn't see you the last time I came here. They said you went out to do something. Did you just come back? Lin Yi pulled Languza aside to prevent him from interrupting again. Boss Lin Yi, I went to the old site of Chioshui Villa when you came back last time, so I didn't get to see you. I've been secretly investigating the massacre case of Chioshui Villa for the past 2 years. Finally, I got some clues, but I don't know what to do. I heard that you came back to the North Island, so I hurried to see you. I want to ask you for some advice. Li Jingming looked around and explained to Lin Yi in a low voice. Lin Yi suddenly realized that Li Jingming was busy with the Chioshui Villa. As the only survivor, the Chioshui Villa had become a demon in his heart. No wonder he went out alone and missed the chance to meet Lin Yi. It's not convenient to talk here. Let's talk after we return to Blue Cloud Pavilion. Lin Yi scanned with his divine senses. Although he didn't find anyone suspicious nearby, it was not appropriate to talk about such confidential matters at the gate of Towering Pavilion. Yes, boss. Li Jingming nodded. He didn't want to talk about the clues of Chioshui Villa here. It would be bad if he alerted the enemy. Originally, Lin Yi wanted to take Li Jingming to the cave in the casting pool. However, considering that the King of Junk might have started to forge weapons and didn't want anyone to disturb him, Lin Yi gave up the idea. Boss, did you want to go somewhere just now? Li Jingming sensed Lin Yi's hesitation and asked in a low voice immediately. Oh, it's nothing, I was just about to go look for the Garbage King, but since I ran into you, I'll go back to Clear Cloud Pavilion first. Lin Yi smiled faintly. There was no need to hide anything from Li Jingming. The only thing he was worried about was whether the King of Junk would still have time to deal with Lin Yi after he started to forge the ghostly speed wings. This was also the reason why he wanted to take the item away as soon as possible. At least he could discuss with the King of Junk on how to use it. Boss, go ahead if you have something to do. My matter isn't urgent. We can talk about it after you're done. Why don't I go to Blue Cloud Pavilion first and wait for you? Although Li Jingming was anxious, he couldn't let Lin Yi delay his business. Therefore he let Lin Yi go first without hesitation. Lin Yi thought for a moment. With his speed, it wouldn't take long for him to go to the cave and return to Blue Cloud Pavilion. If Li Jingming walked slower, they might arrive at the same time. In this way, it wouldn't be a problem for him to go to the casting pool first. Alright, you go to Blue Cloud Pavilion first and wait for me. I'll be back soon. Languza, will you come with me or go back to Blue Cloud Pavilion first? Lin Yi decided to find the King of Junk first. After dealing with Li Jingming, he could fly to Middle Island directly so that he wouldn't affect the King of Junk's forging of the ghostly speed wings. It was a trump card related to Lin Yi's combat strength and life-saving ability in the future. He couldn't afford to be careless. Of course I'll follow you, boss. Brother Li Jingming, you go back first. There's nothing to eat in boss's place. Buy some food on the way. We'll have a good chat later. Languza acted like he was very familiar with Li Jingming. Lin Yi suspected that if he didn't finish all the food in that place in the afternoon, he would probably go back with Li Jingming. Li Jingming agreed. It wasn't a big deal to prepare some food. However, it was already so late. Could it be that boss Lin Yi didn't stay for dinner when he went to visit Pavilion Master Shangguan? The three of them split up. Lin Yi led Languza forward quickly. Although he didn't use the lightning escape technique, his speed was still quite shocking. After a short while, they returned to the cave where the casting pool was. After entering the restriction, the King of Junk immediately noticed the arrival of Lin Yi and Languza. He immediately came out to greet them with a smile. Brother Lin, fortunately I didn't fail you. Your mask has successfully fused with the flying saucer and the starry sky flowing flame gold. Hurry up and take it. I'm going to start refining the ghostly speed wings. The King of Junk didn't wait for Lin Yi to speak and handed the worldly phenomenon and the flying saucer to Lin Yi. Both of these things had a faint flame burning on their surface. Moreover, they also had the same metallic luster. There was no doubt that the worldly phenomenon had not only fused with the thousand silk mask, but also a small amount of the starry sky flowing flame gold. Brother Wang, isn't the worldly phenomenon too eye-catching? Can this flame be eliminated? Lin Yi was very satisfied with the flying saucer. After inspecting it, he put it into the jade pendant space. But why the hell was the worldly phenomenon on fire? Could it even fool people? You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.